Cheryl did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. There we go.
No, I've got, I tweet. I get myself. And every time I move or breathe, it's like,
It's.
Oh, okay. All right, there.
okay.
Every motion.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
No,
how-
but
Did you want to speak, ma'am?
It goes this way, so it's not.
Pardon me?
Did you want to speak or you just want an agenda?
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have that problem too, with surgery.
Oh, okay, okay.
We're almost ready to start.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I did, yeah.
Yeah, it's like between the bad shoulder, my bad elbow, my bad, now I got this.
You're a train wreck.
Oh, major, major. Oh, I got bicep.
Yes, that's one. Did it tear from your, did
No.
it tear from up here, just down there?
Actually, tore from the top.
Or it did tear
Which you said,
from
which you said is bad.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, so it tore from the top, so he said, probably, it's good that you tore from the top, not the bottom. So I still have function in my bicep.
Yeah.
It's
We are
weird.
live.
I can-
Okay, great.
Great.
All right, ready? Is everybody ready?
Yes,
Ready?
ma'am.
Let's do it. Okay, so I have turned on the recorder. The time is now 9:39 a.m. I'm going to call the meeting of the Venetian Community Development District to order. Today is Monday, July 28th, 2025. The first item on the agenda is the call to order / roll call. Those supervisors that are present are Jill Pizarro, Cheryl Tarana, Cindy Sneezick, and Rich Goodman. Supervisors, we do have Ken Smaha with us via phone. At this time, we would need a motion to allow Ken to participate and vote via phone.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second by Jill. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Thank you. On behalf of District Management is myself, Belinda Blandon. I would like to formally introduce my new assistant, Zachary Grubb, to the board and to the audience members. So when you communicate with Zach, this is the face
Okay, well,
that goes
Thanks.
behind. District Council Andy Cohen is present. District Engineer Rick Schappaker is present. Field Manager Keith Livermore is present. We do have on behalf of Landscaping Inspection Services, John Fowler. And we do have General Manager of the River Club, Council Ballantyne, with us. And for the record, there are audience members present. The next item on the agenda is a Pledge of Allegiance. We ask that you please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the public comment portion of the agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, we will limit public comments to 3 minutes per person. Our first speaker is Barbara Silkworth.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Silkworth, President of the Property Owners Association. I think as an exhibit of working together between the various entities, I'd like to bring you up to date very briefly on the compliance process that is underway. Cindy, I apologize, you heard this before at the other meeting, and I guess Darlene heard this also. Phase 1 on the compliance, which is underway, is inspecting dirty roofs and houses, damaged roofs still in need of repair or replacement, dirty soffits, roof gutters, and downspouts, dirty sidewalks, driveways, curb, stormwater drain gutters between the home's property lines. These are all items that can be done with power washing. We thought it was smart to group those together. So a large portion of the community has been ridden to start identifying these. Phase 2 will be homes in need of repainting, unmaintained landscaping like missing mulch, trellises without plants, pots without plants, dead grass, nighttime lighting violations, which probably will not really take place until the time changes, and visual streetscape clutter, signs, statues, sport flags, yard toys, and that sort of thing. Phase 3, which is still a ways out, will be missing trees, palms, shrubbery, and/or vegetation damaged by hurricanes or intentionally removed. That will be part of a streetscape program that will be rolled out later. I was hoping to be able to introduce you to Olfa, the new community manager this morning, but she had a little delay this morning, so hopefully at some point I can introduce her, but in the meantime, please stop by her office and, wish her well. We're very happy to have her here. She's got 7 years' experience in HOA, POA, high-rise condos, etc. She also has a degree in psychology, which makes her extremely adept at dealing with various types of the personalities that we deal with in any of our communities. So give a big welcome to Olfa when you can.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Darlene Shipper.
Good morning, everybody. I wanted to take the time to start off on a positive note and thank Keith for his persistence in getting the issue on the ponds resolved. The matter is not fully resolved, but he will be making recommendations to the board that hopefully will get the job done. If you live in a pond, you know that what is going on really smells bad. So thank you, Keith, for your persistence on this. I received a letter yesterday that our fees are going up next year, $81.43. While it's not an astronomical amount, the letter was a little confusing. But the one thing I'm still trying to wrap my head around is what happened to the $1.4 million we collected for assessments? Will be provided some kind of a spreadsheet that shows how that money was spent? I know there's going to be a meeting on this in August, so I will wait to ask more questions at that time. One thing I wanted to bring up is comments made by the board members may be seen as representing the entire board. Considering recent events and decisions, please exercise due diligence and remain aware of this responsibility when communicating in any capacity, because your words, sometimes people think you're speaking for the entire board. And I think it's important to know that if it's your own personal agenda or your own personal thing, that you make that clear. At a previous board meeting, you discussed the issue of multiple individuals making similar requests to employees, which can lead to inefficiency. This practice continues to occur. Jill, as the liaison of the River Club, should be the primary contact for staff requests unless the request pertains specifically to your committee. Regarding the recently presented management companies, after doing some additional research, I remain unconvinced that we should proceed until more options are presented for consideration. It appears that, as with other matters this year, board members may be facing pressure to make a decision too quickly. The concern is that there may not have been sufficient research done on these two companies, and it is unclear whether RFPs were issued or if we simply acted on board's recommendations. It is important to consider more than two options and obtain additional information on these companies, as this decision requires careful evaluation. The choice should reflect what is most beneficial for the community rather than the individual's preferences. This cannot be a decision based on what you are leaning towards. It must be what you see as the right decision. I guess I don't understand why we're always in such a rush. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There being no further speakers signed in, we're going to close out public comment and move forward with our agenda. Jill, do we have someone here from the hurricane response team?
No, we don't. So, maybe we can take that out till, sorry. I should have noticed that. We can take that out till I have that sorted.
Okay, so we won't put it on the agenda until we
Right,
hear
sorry,
back from
that's
you.
my miss, yep.
We're going to move into staff reports, landscaping inspection services. The inspection report is behind tab number 1 for your review. Good morning, John.
Hello, so we review it, I believe, on the 3rd week of the month. So just a little change in when I do my inspection. First thing I would say, going through the community, there's a common theme basically with all the rains that we've gotten over the past couple months. You have seen turf fill in here and there, some with weeds. There's still some areas out there that there's still some dead, especially on the main boulevard that you'll see. So just make sure, pointed that out. But the biggest thing throughout this inspection is the weeds, basically, and pruning. Seems like they're kind of behind on both. So just go through a few of the pictures just showing this. Number one is the trees of Medici Burn down at the end. But if you go down Medici Burn on the backside on Laurel Road, it's just starting to take over. They did a good job the past year or two, but it's kind of looking like it did when I first started, where it was pretty bad. So want to make sure we jump on that. Picture number 20. Another thing that I'm seeing is behind the berms on Benito Boulevard, going into each subdivision, you see a lot of weeds back there, like they're treating the weeds where you can see it, but some of these back areas, but the homeowner lives right there, so I want to make sure that that's being done. 15 I saw coming in has been completed as far as the vines from the jasmine growing up the crepe myrtles right in front of the guard gate, but it still looks like the jasmine needs to be pruned. And that's another common theme throughout here. One thing that I've been putting on there a few times is the fire bush at the lift station, Veneta. That is, they might need a ladder now to get that because it's gotten so high, but we need to get that back down and under control. As you're going through the pictures, I gave a couple of the rougher roundabouts in the neighborhoods. Picture 24, there's a lot of weeds that when I went through, the roundabouts had it. One that doesn't have a picture, but just pointing out the Awabuki, there's a few Awabuki areas that are dead that we at least need to remove. I believe we put some viburnum in front of them to slowly take over that, but as some die out, we at least need to have those removed because they stick out like a sore thumb, just being 6 with no green on them. Another thing that I noticed to diagnose a tree is number 38, just some foxtail ferns in front of the Cipriani Way Monument. Just want to make sure we get that taken care of. And then as far as diagnosing and treating, I believe I put a picture on here. 53, the Crinan lilies being eaten up by insects over on Siltadella.
Yeah, that's a common theme,
Yes.
isn't it?
Well, I work with another district and I recommend not even having those in the future if we can.
We're taking them out.
Yeah.
Okay, good, yeah.
I think they're ugly in general, and they're always kind of ratty, so as a future plan, replacing those with a different species in the future. But again, the common theme is just weeds and pruning. I will say when I came out here, I wasn't able to do a complete detail around here because there's caution tape all around the River Club and it's their pavement. So this time I stayed away from it, but looking out back, it still looks like we have weeds in the Great Lawn and still have some of the same issues there.
Yep.
I mean, Cheryl, I know you said that juniper is probably gonna be taking over. I mean, is it really juniper? Because I mean, well, the LFP trucks now say juniper and LLP and juniper company. So is that different than
No,
juniper?
it's the Juniper office. They're actually doing it geographically, so they're moving LMP north. The LMP office will be serviced out of the Juniper Venice office.
Okay,
So it will be different staff. It will be the Juniper.
okay. In the
And a
meantime,
different account managers.
Yeah,
Okay.
different account manager, different irrigation specialist.
okay, so when does that start or?
I'm waiting for a date, but Tony and I have a call tomorrow, I think. He's the guy running this project on Lower Road.
Okay.
And he's the one who's been talking to me about when it's going to turn. So he was waiting to get a date. So hopefully soon.
Okay.
In the meantime, Keith will continue to bug LMP.
No,
about the
but
stuff on
I'm saying
list,
to the
but-
point, it's not even bugging LLP. It's like, if you can't do your job.
Right.
Why not keep paying you? I know that we had.
And that is something we actually have talked about.
Because we had, in addition to this, we had, which John's not gonna see, people on the Valenza Loop, they weren't cutting the grass they weren't cutting the
Yes.
grass.
Mhm.
They weren't cutting the grass behind my house by the pond. They finally did it a week and a half ago, but now it's all over, and they didn't come this past week.
Right.
They're now deciding if they're short-staffed by 20% and they should get paid 20% less or something. I mean, it's like,
That is part of my conversation with Tony.
Good,
So,
good.
yes,
This
that's
is,
why I wasn't prepared to tell you what's gonna happen yet, but that is part of the,
good, because we need to have some resolution. This is
Absolutely.
just, with all the rain, a lot of things picked back up, but it also showed there's a lot more problems.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
Sure
John.
thing. And I will say, once you introduce that new guy, I'd like to do an inspection with him too, so.
absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Rick, do you have anything to report?
Yes, I do. The lake bank restoration, the vendor's supposed to be back on back here this week to finish up. That'll be the south bank of Pond 7, and then fixing that spot up on Bella Vista in the circle. So that should be done this week, and they should complete it. The parking lot, the paving, went out there prior to the meeting to look for the worst spot of the vehicle turning. It looks like it wasn't probably the residents, but maybe vendors, because I know we got word out to residents, be careful when you're backing and pulling, don't crank the wheel. And so,
That
That came out late.
But-
That came out on Monday afternoon. The parking lot got open on Saturday.
okay. And, but I did reach out to the vendor. They could come back, they could heat that and then reseal it. It'll look good. What happens is right now you got all the fines will come up to the top, and it looks really good. When they reheat and reseal it, you'll see more of the aggregate, but it'll still be good. So I don't know if you've decided on what we're doing with the speed bumps and speed humps. We could bring them back at the same time to do that, or I could just try to bring him back out.
Well, my question, like I said to her before, I said, if we do that, we're doing the thermal striping. So
right.
and we haven't assigned the speed bumps yet, so we have to first go to contract and get that done, and that could be a month out, and who knows what a schedule is like, and then we don't have parking lot stripes for a month and a half.
Well,
After that,
I'm okay with that. I'm more concerned about what this incremental cost is gonna be to us. Do we have an estimate as to what it's gonna take to do this heat and repair?
I've watched them do that. They have a blow
Yeah,
torch kind of a thing. And if we do have them come out to do the speed bumps and speed humps, they're bringing their equipment back out. So
okay, so they
I
will
think
charge
it
us?
would be very
But can we wait?
minimal.
Or can we wait? We don't know when we're doing the speed bumps, so
Right,
when we haven't approved it.
we haven't approved the speed
And
bumps
we
yet.
haven't got the contract yet on it, so that we're, and then they have to schedule it, and they're probably, like I said, it's probably 30, 60 days out before that happens. Do we go 30, 60 days without stripes in the parking lot?
A lot of the stuff that I see in the main lots is not really bad. So just when the cars are driving over, it's going to help to reseal that. So
Because the tennis lot's bad too.
The tennis lot's really
Yeah.
bad. The handicap spot, that used to be the handicap spot, is very bad too. I don't even want to get into it, but I don't understand why this parking lot was open based on the 2-day delay that we had, but that's here nor there. It's happened, it's done, it's over with. We just need to get it fixed and expedited.
Can we have them come out and get us a cost, or?
yeah, the vendor was up in Boston. I talked to him this morning. He was getting on the plane, so he should be landing
Yeah,
in
because
just a couple.
I'm also
hours.
afraid of somebody slipping on loose gravel or tripping on some of the bumps that have not been raised, not realizing it. I would like to get that thing fixed if at all possible, and if it's reasonable enough, Jill can just approve it. If there's a cost to it, or if we tell we're gonna give him the speed bumps at a later date, maybe he'll just do it as an accommodation.
Well, we may as well find out what it costs.
But
Yeah.
but we need to find out what it's gonna cost to do it now,
Yeah.
but maybe he'll give it to us for free, even if there is a cost. If we say, we're gonna give you the speed bumps, maybe they'll just say, okay, fine, I'll just take care of it, hopefully.
I mean, if there's a liability issue out there, you should just get it.
Yeah, that's, yeah, is it a major liability? Could somebody possibly, but if it's something that we now know about, I agree with you, that's why I'm trying to not wait up 60 days, I'm trying to look at it now.
Yeah, the worst spots that I saw were right out here. So I did try to step them down. You know, when it's 95, I could probably step it down a little bit better.
I checked that, it's kind of set.
It's set,
It's set.
yeah.
Because I was out there the other day when it was 95 in the sun, and it was pretty set.
But I'll be talking to him probably late morning, and I'll just see what he says.
But I think we need to look at that sooner than later.
Well, let's define, get the information, and then we can, well, when will we know about the humps? Well, I guess we were gonna talk to you, Keith, about the,
He's getting the guy to come down, let's go with the speed bumps, at least
that's
four.
right, whatever the things are.
We were
Decided.
thinking maybe a combination, so
Yeah.
the places where
That's
the
right.
speed.
No, but right there at the entrance and the exits, right away.
Bumps, you want bumps?
We go with bumps rather than the pads, because and we'll, get Rick to go ahead on it, and, we'll, get those in as soon as we can, and then we'll put some stop signs on, back on the gate arms again.
And so then Veneto and Padova.
Yep.
Would be bumps. Do we want them at Savona and Passaro?
You would put
Bumps?
Benito and Padova bumps instead of humps?
Uh-huh.
Oh, at the stop sign.
At the stop sign.
Sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
meant the.
Yeah, no, at
Runway.
at the stop sign, yeah. And I was wondering the same thing for Savona and Passaro.
Because we had an accident there?
Well, there was an accident there, but I frequently see people, not as significantly as we see on.
Yeah, we had a T-bone at Savona and
Yeah, we had the
Passaro.
T-bone there, yeah. I'm throwing it out there, I'm not saying that we need it.
Well, they
I
do
just-
it everywhere.
Yeah, they do it everywhere, but yeah, Padova and Veneto are the worst, for sure.
Why don't we see how those go?
You wanna see how that goes first? Okay, I'm good with that.
So there's a possibility, if I tell him that he's doing those, they could come back right away and clean up this and do those speed bumps.
So what was the cost of the bumps, were what a piece? 900 bucks?
No, I thought with, painting was like $3,000,
I was
I think.
gonna say it was
Or-
more than.
Yes.
Okay, so it was over my limit.
Yeah, so it'll be a limit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, if you put them all together, if we give them to you single.
Andy will not like
Doesn't
that.
work then.
There is that.
Okay,
So we're talking about 5 of them?
At least going right now.
Do you want to do a motion for that?
And not to exceed on 5 of them?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
Let Rick find the exact price so we know.
There are 5 or is there 6? There's actually 6, right? There's 2 at the entrance.
Let's do it for 6.
4, 2 at the entrance, 2 at the exit.
Yeah,
Four.
that's 4. Okay, those
And
are
then one-
singular. So the ones at the Padova stop sign on each side, that's just considered 1?
No, that's 2,
That's 2. Okay,
so 6.
6.
The speed bumps, his price was range between 600 and 900. And if it's at a stop sign, I don't need to add signage. So that saves on the cost with that, but we do have to paint them yellow.
Right.
Mhm.
Oh, so there's a paint, and then there's also the cost of the parking lot fix.
So 10 grand?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we should do I'll make a motion. Is it subject to preparation of contract by council? Probably. Let's say it anyway,
That's
just in
fine.
case. So.
Well, they were an existing vendor.
Right.
Yeah, but we can just say it anyway.
Let's do
That way
this.
we're covered.
If you're so inclined, it would be a motion to authorize the chair to expend not to exceed $10,000, subject to preparation of documentation as necessary.
Okay,
Does that work?
that's what he said.
Okay?
Second.
Well, why don't we have someone else make the motion?
Oh, yeah, that's
We're
true.
giving authority to the chair.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I'll make the motion
I
based on
said,
Andy's.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Anything else you need?
And let's get the parking lot.
Yeah,
ASAP.
that's why you would
ASAP,
cover that as well.
ASAP,
Yeah.
ASAP.
Bumps plus.
All those in favor, please state aye.
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 Maybe just an amendment or whatever, but
Yeah, maybe we should do a change order, that's all.
And so then would this ultimately be a reserves cost? Yeah, I guess, right?
It would probably be capital if they're all new,
For the
Yeah,
speed.
Oh,
but not
you're
for the-
right, because it would be, okay.
Yeah, okay.
which is fine. We have
Okay.
plenty of capital available on the
Okay, good.
CDD.
And the repair for the parking lot?
Well, hopefully that will be no cost or
Right,
thrown in.
okay.
Yeah, we'll probably do a change order.
Oh, I see. Okay, change order works, yep.
That's all that I had, unless anybody has got anything for me?
Any questions for Rick? No. Thank you, Rick. Andy, do you have anything to report?
Yes, thank you. Just one item I want to bring up with the board. It's been a topic of continued discussion with regards to the potential for looking into some of the information that Rich has uncovered related to history with Vesta. And I just want to continue the discussion, let you know that I did reach out to a litigation attorney that I'm utilizing for another case for a CDD in Tampa, who I found to be excellent. I also reached out to another attorney that I utilized. He was away, but he'll be back today, so I can get some more information from him as well. I did correspond with the attorney in Tampa, who said that he gave me 3 excellent resources of forensic accountants that they deal with. He's at a large firm, Stearns Weaver, which has a presence throughout the state. They have at least 4 offices throughout the state. He would be willing to handle the investigation from inception. He also did say that he'd be willing to have, a start with the forensic accountant. And as I said, he provided some resources. So I just wanted to further discuss that, for one. And for two, as we continue to discuss this matter, I do think it's important that we preserve the information that exists out there. So I'd like to get some board direction I can send a letter that says just, hey, preserve all documentation, while you continue to take whatever direction you as a board choose to proceed. So I just wanted to reopen the discussion on that and get some input, and I know Rich wants to address it as well.
Yeah, I reached out to Andy because I said I understand the concept of forensic accountant, and I'm not saying that we don't go there, but I feel we should at least have a consult with an attorney to understand what our rights are. There are a couple of things about going to the forensic accountant first. If you get hit by a bus and you're now maimed, you don't go to a doctor. You don't go to a doctor to figure out how badly off you are to sue. You go to an attorney first to find out what you can do. So we're putting the expert before we hire the attorney. I think the attorney should go first. If the attorney says the information that we've uncovered is subjective enough to be difficult to do anything with in court, going to a forensic accountant is not going to further that. If the attorney says that if the evidence you have is very valuable, but it's going to be so dragged out and so prolonged that you may not want to go that way, forensic accountant is not going to help us with that. So I think we should at least get a consult to find out where we're going with this, to understand our rights, to see if it's worth pursuing, how to pursue, what to do. We may write a letter. And a forensic accountant, if the investor turns out that they can't refuse to cooperate, a forensic accountant can't write a demand letter. So there's a lot of things that we lose by going to a forensic accountant first as opposed to an attorney. And I think for a couple $1,000 or maybe even free on a consult that you get with an attorney versus 10, 20.
It's not going to be free.
Okay. $2,000, $2,500, okay, whatever it is for consult to find out what it is versus what are we asking the forensic accountant to do? Just review the 2 months that I have?
Yeah,
4 months? This year, last year, go back to 2020. So we don't know we don't even know what we're looking for yet. So we're going to people to find out, to look at all this information before we know what we want to do. And an attorney may have insight that we just don't have. And I'm not saying, and I'm not looking to go to court. That's the last place I want to go.
If I can just interrupt you for a second.
I think that in order to find a forensic auditor, you have to kind of talk to an attorney first anyway. That became clear as I even started looking since the
Yeah,
last
He
meeting.
gave me some
So,
information, but yes.
We would have to engage an attorney. It makes sense to engage attorney to engage the forensic auditor. So I think the likelihood of that happening anyway makes sense to me, to use an attorney that Andy comes up with that does this kind of work, to first give an opinion, and then they would engage the auditor
Yes.
if we move forward to a forensic audit. Does that?
Yeah, I'm starting to lean in that direction, to be honest with you. He was the one who, when I reached out to him, sort of said, well, it might be more cost effective to start with the account, but he also doesn't have all of the facts of what we've uncovered here as of yet. I mean, I spoke to him for, 45 minutes. He doesn't know everything with regards to your history here yet. This particular attorney, as I said, is with a big law firm. I'm utilizing him for a CDD I have in Tampa. They do a piece of litigation. They're doing excellent work. We don't know what his rate will be. I didn't discuss it with him. He's charging me $400 an hour, which is very reasonable. I was able to negotiate for this other case in Tampa. I would expect it to be close to that. And there is one more attorney who's local that I also utilize on some litigation. As I said, I'd like to reach out to him too. He was away, but he said he'll be back today, so.
I mean, my gut feeling was, if we were gonna, because we got the estimate from Grau, so my feeling was, well, if we're gonna spend the money, I would rather spend the money knowing what our rates are, and it might be less than Grau was gonna charge us, but, I think I mentioned to you, Andy, I had a conversation with a resident who's got some experience in the space generally, and that person said, you really should talk to an attorney who's an expert first. So
I'd
my
like-
feeling.
I'd like to make a motion and we let Andy pursue the attorney versus having the reserve committee look for a forensic accountant.
Do you want to include do we need a separate letter to preserve?
I think you could do it as one.
Okay.
And I will tell you that if I'm able to speak with this person and retain him, I will quickly enough, because I think this needs to happen fast. I will see if he wants me to send the letter, or if he, rather send the letter himself.
And also, while we're making the motion, if we decide today to terminate Vesta, as we're looking at,
That'll be separate.
That's gotta
Okay.
be different.
okay,
But can I does Ken have an update on the forensic auditor before we move in this
Okay.
direction?
That's fast.
Ken?
I don't know if they've done it.
No, not really.
Good,
That was-
okay. I just wanted to make sure we
We're
were,
having-
yeah.
We were having a meeting Monday,
Okay, right, okay, good. Thank you.
and it's on the agenda, but if you want to go this route, I actually support
Okay.
the same recommendations,
Okay, Ken, thank you.
going with an attorney,
Yeah.
There you go.
getting some counsel.
And so you need a second.
You made the motion.
Second.
And just for the record, the motion was to authorize me to correspond with a litigator and have Jill authorized to execute the engagement, and to send a preservation of evidence letter either from myself or the new counsel. Is that your motion?
yes.
Okay. You made the motion. Jill seconded it. Thank you. I don't want to steal your thunder, but any further discussion? I got the mic. So. All
All
right.
those in favor, please state aye.
Okay,
Aye.
I'll take care of it. I'll work with Jill.
Thanks, Andy, appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's the only item I had, but I'm glad to answer any questions. Yes, ma'am.
We had a conversation earlier this month regarding attire at the River Club. Would you be willing to summarize the outcome of that conversation
I'll
for us?
try.
Okay, good. I'll add, thank you. So this came up because there was an inquiry about somebody wearing a particular hat on the tennis court. So I reached out to Andy to determine if political attire is permissible here in the River Club and on the River Club grounds. So Andy, I'll hand it over to you now.
Sure, thank you. We did a little bit of research and with regards to the rules currently existing that the CDD has, we have rules with regards to political events, which we've talked about many times. We have general rules with regards to attire. You can't wear a bathing suit to the Mother's Day brunch, things along those lines. But we do not have any specific rules regulating political content of attire, and I think so far that is by design. There is something in constitutional law, you probably all heard of it anyway, content neutral versus content based. And so the rules that we do have are content neutral in terms of, like I said, no bathing suit at the Mother's Day brunch. That is the type of rules that we currently have. We can explore trying to regulate speech in your attire. There is a much higher standard, as you might expect, when it's content-based, something called strict scrutiny and things along those lines. So the quick answer is the rules as they currently exist do not prohibit it. If we wanted to explore implementing something, we could. Correct me if I'm wrong, the discussion Cindy and I had was kind of have a full plate at this time.
Right, I have no desire to pursue, I was just looking for information for the residents who had inquired. And I don't think it's an area that we want to go into. I just wanted it out here for
Yep.
public
No, it's
comment.
helpful.
Yes, so that's the only reason I wanted to
Yes.
bring it up today.
So that's
Absolutely.
what we have as it currently
Yes.
exists.
Okay,
And I don't necessarily disagree with it.
That's a slippery slope to start.
I agree
Yeah,
100%. I had no intention of taking it any further. It was more of a, we wanted it out in the public to basically say content.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
All right,
Thank you, Andy.
sure. Anything else I can address? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it.
Council, did you have anything to report?
Few projects that were currently underway. There were some concerns when I first came into the building about a salamander in the kitchen. And so what the next step was for that, I have found a fix for that with a specific mount system that's going to hold it in place. The company have gotten a hold of, they will be out this week to survey and install that. So it'll be in the same location where they installed the gas line, but that is currently underway.
French onion soup.
In addition to that, we have a few other projects that are finishing up, really with the independent contractor contracts. I just have one last person to finish getting those filled out. But the understanding with them being under contract is if the club is closed for whatever reason, that we are entitled to give them a half percentage of pay during that time. I did talk with Nancy with history because they had inquired about potentially conducting classes outside during the time that the fitness center is closed. I just thought that was not a good idea with the amount of heat that's going on. So I will send out correspondence to the fact that, you know, I would disagree, and the compromise would be that they would get paid a 0.5% or 50% of their overall wage during the time that it is closed. And so I had the other projects during the fitness club, closure with electro outlets, and the planking is under order today. And then I just met with Jason outside. We are finishing up the final bits of the project itself. I did walk the property yesterday, and there's several things that are kind of just need to be buttoned up. One of them is the back bell tower. We had a beehive issue back there that I had removed a couple weeks back. And so he needs to finish that bell tower. That's the only thing that needs to be with his lift involved. He currently was trying to move the garbage to get access back there, but the lot is still too soft. So we're looking at an option to not impact that area. And so he will also be building the fence as soon as I get the large debris out of the way. So a couple other things with the tennis courts, they had a major water leak. That's what the water was turned off this morning, but that is fixed currently right now. And then Dave with the pool. So we've had a fair amount of things that have been going on in the last couple of weeks with that. And so it is up and going now. It is currently running at 91 degrees. There's no fix as far as the temperature is concerned until the well is taken care of. Tim just get back to me yesterday and said that we should be able to get an idea of the geothermal drilling that deeper, that 75-foot deeper by next week. So by the end of the week, we should have a date in mind and they're gonna drill it. And if it does fix the issue, it should be repaired by next weekend. If it does not, they will not charge us. And then that's the next step. So I have not met with them, Rich and Tim, Tim being much more experienced with that, as the gentleman seems to be much more accessible and does it fairly quickly. And so that's something that we'll know later in the week. And so I will let you guys know as soon as Tim lets me know.
And then maybe on that one, just a reminder that we've already expended 4,000, right?
Yes.
The first time around on the
Yes.
geothermal, and then, because I gave you all a copy of this at the last meeting, and then the next bit of well work would be 11,000, so the total would be 15, which is 35,000 less than the not to exceed 50.
If it's,
If it works, and then we
Yeah,
don't pay the
fingers crossed.
11 if it doesn't work.
Exactly, so that's all you lost is
Which is
$4,000.
an
So
amazing,
it's-
whoever worked that out.
Yeah, so it's a great, Dave did a good job finding this, new well guy. He's responsive, he's
Yeah.
honest, if it works, you pay for it, if it doesn't, you're not, I mean, you can't expect more than that from anybody.
No.
Especially when he's dealing with an unknown, so
Yes.
he's taking the chance, so, it's,
Hope it works.
yeah, me too.
And then one last thing for the agenda. The Tropicone, I have gotten a hold of the vendors. I've gotten a few of the bids for those. In the process of doing that, we weren't able, Nance helped, we weren't able to find the other umbrellas that allegedly were broken before I arrived. There's one in the shed over here. And I'm talking to them to see if they do repairs, but we're still down 2 umbrellas on the pool deck as well. So potentially, that is something we should be in consideration of replacing those on the pool deck. Minimal investment in that, but if we're missing, 2, potentially 3 of those, I need to find out, what that process and how we can get those repaired or replaced, and I can't find the other 2.
So how much Tropicone are you buying? Are you buying a lot of?
Well, the bid I got for the tennis, with all the pieces in place, it was not to exceed 30,000 from the original agreement before I was involved. The bids that I've gotten, the first one was 33,000, and I'm still waiting for the other one this afternoon from another local vendor. So these are 2, but they're going to give us discounts because the one I'm still waiting for is the one that you ordered for back in 2022. And so.
But you were also gonna go directly to Tropicone.
I am, yeah.
Right?
Okay, also, I have friends that were the head designers for Starwood and things like that, so obviously they buy a lot of stuff, so if you can send me that quote, if the board wants, I can send it to them to see if they know of a national account vendor or some vendor who purchased really well. Tropicone will not sell us at a discount rate, but if there's a large, people who do with Starwood have connections with vendors who buy really well, which mean that we may not have access to. So if you want me to reach out, I can try to do that. If not, I'll let it go. It's your call. I might, I can't, all I can do is make a phone call or an email.
I mean, I'll send you that information. I mean, the main gist is it's underway. I did just, find out last week that we didn't necessarily have that information. So I'm working on that, and that, I will have other bids by, Wednesday.
Because we haven't voted on anything for the furniture for the
No.
tennis area, have we? I don't think so.
I would think so, yeah. So if you
We
can,
haven't, okay.
so Kelsey, if you could just send me just one quote, just what it is that we're looking to purchase.
Sure.
I'll see if there's anything we can do. If I can, great. If I can't, then if we know buying it right, that's great to know too.
And then, I'm sorry, one last thing is we had talked last week with Sam and the sound barriers with the paddleball courts. I have not had a chance to get with him, but that is on my agenda as well, is to get that idea of what that looks like. I have the hurricane response. I have a full binder for the entire clubhouse
Right.
with emergency phone numbers and just standard procedures as far as Vesta was concerned. And it includes everyone, every department in there as well. And so part of that was Sam finishing, because they have special binders, like the metal ones for the sound barriers. So really finding out the cost involved and how much it would cost to reinstall that. So I've not gotten it yet, but I will get that.
So that was in regard to, so just a little bit of history on this is that there was conversation of when the first hurricane or tropical storm warnings come out, that the acoustic panels come down. And I asked for a cost analysis of, obviously, I think Sam had decided one of his decisions was to leave them down until hurricane season was over. And I said, we need to do a cost analysis to determine what the cost is to bring those panels back up and take them down, up and down each time. So was in regard to what Kelso was talking about here, is I just didn't want to make the blanket statement that they're staying down, because I don't think that is really an option. And I wanted to know what the cost impact was going to be of taking, putting them up, taking them down, putting them up, taking them down. That's
For the clips or just for the labor?
the clips and the labor, everything across the board,
We
yeah.
volunteers for the labor, don't we?
Well, the big caveat was they have a special fastener and they're single use.
Right,
So the
yeah,
cost
so
involved with that,
that's-
because they have to put them, every, few grommets. So what's that cost involved? And if we did it 3 times in a season, is that really worth it to do that? So what's the procedure? Is it, we have a named storm, 72 hours out, in between, just recovering from one? Is there a week or 2 that we wait, and how long is that? And then and I asked him to see if there was a reusable, if there's potentially something that we could reuse to fasten those up, which would significantly reduce the cost of that and labor's, and volunteer labor. So that was the 3 questions we had for him.
Yes, so that's what that was in regard to. So I wanted to know what the cost impact was on that. So I actually, if you're done, so I didn't interrupt, okay. Court 2 has seemed significantly dry. Is there a status, what's going on with that court? And I saw Nick watering court 1 the other day, and that seems to have recovered, but what about court 2?
Sam was out there and broke a line this morning right before. That's why I wasn't in here earlier. So he's been gone intermittently without talking with me. So we have to discuss those next steps as far as he's concerned and the courts, because there was no maintenance from Thursday.
Correct.
So I got Rolando in here on Sunday to help maintain the courts, but they were extremely dry and I'm not versed enough to go out there and do that myself. So I know that Nick hadn't been in the process of filling those wells, but it was intensive because he had to do each one of those tanks. And so he did court 1 and they were planning on doing court 2, but Nick took time off. He asked for time off before I even started. So he's engaged. He's gone until 31st.
Okay.
So I will have a plan of action as soon as I get finished with Sam.
Okay, great, thank you. My second question is in regard to the pool temperature being at 91 degrees. Do we have any health issues with that? That seems very, very warm. And is it something that we need to consider from a lap lane perspective? If the lap lane gets that hot, are we at risk of possibly closing it because that's an exercise pool. So it's just something that we need to address. Do you see any issues with the amenity pool or lap lane pool?
Well, I talked with Dave as far as, options. Can we drain it and refill it? He says, really the residual heat being 92 degrees at midnight, it will not cool the pool off whatsoever.
Okay, so I'm not worried about, I understand the fact that we're not gonna cool it.
Yeah.
My question is, do we have health concerns and are we at risk of possibly having to close the lap lane pool or the amenity pool because of the temperature? Like, could somebody get sick in the lap lane pool by exercising?
Well, I've been checking with some of the guests the members that are in the pools and stuff, but even though it is at 91 degrees, it's still, it's cooling or not cooling, but it's better than being in the humid air itself.
Yeah.
But from a temperature, again,
So what's the threshold?
That's my question. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I guess I'd have to check with Dave and find out what that threshold is.
Yeah,
I do not know.
germs and from a health safety perspective, is something gonna happen to somebody in the amenity pool or the lap lane pool? What you looking up there?
I'm just trying to see what the beach,
With the 88.
what I'm looking to see what the water temperature is at
Oh, at the Gulf.
Venice. So
Okay,
I think it's
okay.
hotter there than it is
I saw 88 this morning. I'm just asking, I just don't want to have any
And you
issues.
check with the pool vendor and
Yeah,
was mentioning
yeah.
also the health department.
Yes.
That's not necessarily
you.
our call.
That
Yeah, right now,
seems to make
the
sense.
south, the jetty temperature right now is 87.
Yeah,
Nice.
so, okay, so we should check with the health department to see what
Sure.
risks we're at.
Sure.
Thank you.
Can we get a delivery of dry ice every day?
You're right.
Bring your own ice.
Just throw in a block.
Are there any other questions for council?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Keith, did you have anything to report?
I think we've talked about most of it earlier, but I just wanted to bring to your attention, today I'll be sending out a letter to the community about Laura, our new admin, part-time. And so she starts, has started. And I think she's a fantastic young lady, and I think she's gonna be very capable. She's going through some training and different things with, thanks to Cindy and Ken. The letter will be pretty specific about the times that she's here to do RFID stickers, new people coming in for their amenity cards and gift cards. That's, I think we've had this discussion, it's 1 o'clock to 5, Monday through Friday. And so those will be the times that she's here to issue those things. And then, that letter will go out this afternoon. I've sent it to Cindy and to Ken, and, they put their ideas on it, and we'll send it out.
Are you gonna put a note on the door as well?
Oh,
A note on her door as well?
a note on the
Clock. Well, I
door.
think there's a clock on
There's a
it.
clock
Yes,
on
there's a
it.
clock in there.
There's
Yeah.
a little, I'll be back at.
Yeah, but this way, if you know the hours are gonna be 1 to 5, Monday through Friday, it should just be
Oh, I
posted,
see.
it's posted on the door,
Oh,
so
that's true.
in case somebody walks in and see, just so they know.
Okay.
And also, I want to thank you. I know, as Rick had mentioned, that you reached out to them about the parking lot, so I want to thank you for, I know it's not your responsibility, but I appreciate you jumping in to.
Yeah, no, those were the day after it happened, they were that way,
So I
so.
appreciate that.
But other than that, that's, we've all talked about the flight, everything else, so, that's what I have right now.
Do we want to sync up member access in Jonas with the River Club with being the same hours? And just have, so you can't come in and get your member ID information from 8 to noon or whatever. Do we want to sync that up? Does that have any impact on you, Kelso?
Not really.
Because we need a member's number when we
So
put
you
up,
need the
to
member?
put it
You
on
don't
the
wanna
amenity
say
card.
I think people would appreciate knowing, if they came up here at 10:30 and then, I gotta come back. at
Right,
1.
right. So I don't know if it makes sense to just say, from 1 to 5, Monday through Friday, that's when member IDs are being issued for.
Just do email blast, just include.
Yeah,
email
and
blast.
then, so we know that it's in sync with what we've got going on with Laura, Monday through Friday, 1 to 5.
I think it's good.
Good
Okay,
idea.
okay. So then member IDs will be issued 1 to 5, Monday through Friday. Okay, cool. All right.
My pleasure.
So supervisors, just as a reminder, our next meeting is scheduled for August 11th, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. Just a few things. I am working on the project withdrawals with FEMA. I should have those wrapped up this week. I did want to give the board an update on the audit. The audit is delayed. We've run into a few issues. Vesta has been asked to provide additional documentation, backup invoices, so Vanessa's been going back and forth with Vesta, trying to obtain the information needed for the auditor. I think we're close to wrapping up the final request, so we're hoping that this will end up in us receiving the draft for review. Once we do know whether or not the draft has been issued, I'll notify the board.
We did get a notice from the state that it's late. I mean, it's due June 30th, but it takes a while before they do anything harmful to you.
So, do you need me to light a fire under anybody?
I think we're at our final stages.
Okay.
If there's any additional requests for documentation and we're not able to obtain the information, then I would reach out to you.
How
Well,
long
if
have you been
that
trying to get the information from
It's
Vesta?
been a
two weeks or so.
Oh, okay, that's not,
You know,
okay.
there's just been a lot of, I would say that, I don't know if because of the transition, you know, between accountants, that's why, there's been just a lot of time consuming, back and forth because they don't have a lot of the invoices that are being requested.
So they will, if that continues though, the audit firm will finalize with a management letter and findings, correct?
Correct?
Yeah.
Correct. And that's all I had. Is the board going to be holding a workshop on the 11th?
I think it makes it efficient.
I do too.
Yeah,
I really think it makes it super efficient.
And I did have a question regarding whether you're going to be re-reviewing the budget drafts at a workshop, so that if you are, you need me to update the financials before the budget meeting, the financial information on the actual budget worksheets, let me know, and I'll submit them to the board.
The public hearing's the 25th, right?
So after the 11th.
So if you did want to review without having to send out another ad, you can probably do it at the workshop on the 11th.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely.
So just let me know, and then I'll make those changes and resend the worksheet.
I would like that.
So Jill, before we move forward, business items, did we want to move into the La Sala presentation since it's 10:30?
Well, I don't think the architect's here yet,
Okay, so we can move forward?
but is there anything else? We got through a number of things. We talked about just for the record, Cindy, do you want to update what's happening with the tennis court maintenance
Yes,
proposal?
yes.
Well, we could.
You want to get through the aquatics
Well,
first?
but here's the thing with that. Well, yeah, that's true. We have a whole half an hour.
Half an hour.
before-
Yeah,
Before the
and
La
Ken's,
Sala.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's
so
do
did
that.
we want to just touch, since it's pretty much, well, all three items, did we want to go into the proposals for aquatic maintenance,
Yeah, you're right.
preserve maintenance, and
Yes.
aerator maintenance?
Yeah.
Makes better sense. Yeah. All right.
and he's here right now, let's put him in the hot seat.
So Ken, are you there?
I am.
Okay, so we're gonna do the maintenance, aquatic and preserve maintenance discussion and the aerator maintenance discussion now. Do you wanna?
And Bill is here right now, Candace, so, you know.
As is.
Liz,
Liz,
Solitude.
Liz from Solitude is here as well.
Okay, well, we actually, during our earlier discussion, we talked about references, we talked about comments, we talked about feedback, and we talked about where we were in the process from a pricing standpoint. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the consensus of our discussion was basically our preferred vendor is Premier Lakes. However, they are outside our current budget and expected costs for aquatic maintenance, especially. And I think what we agreed upon was we eliminated Cross Creek. We would consider Solitude and Premier Lakes for aquatic maintenance, Premier Lakes for preserve maintenance and aerator maintenance. We had some questions about the number of visits that were being proposed that were different from what we currently have. Premier Lakes was higher, and Solitude was proposing the same number that they currently have. At 60, Premier Lakes was at 72 for aquatic maintenance. What was proposed was we enter a discussion with Premier Lakes as to whether they would be interested in contracting for all three categories. And if we can come to some agreement there, we would proceed with that. From a bid standpoint, if we were to use Solitude for aquatic maintenance and Premier for preserve and aerator, it would come to a total of a little over 115,000 per year. If we went with Premier Lakes, it would be significantly higher. However, if we equate the number of visits on a equal basis between Premier Lakes and Solitude's proposals, then Premier Lakes would come out at 133,000. So the question becomes, do we want to get into a negotiation with Premier Lakes to cover all three contracts, or split it between multiple vendors?
Well, I thought we agreed in the workshop not to cut down the number of visits from Premier, so they'd be at 140, not 133.
That was dollars. 133,000.
Yeah, but that's if you.
He's translating.
No, no.
But he equated it down by changing the number of visits.
But he made the
Yeah.
visit cost the same as Solitude. That's what he's coming up with.
Oh. Oh,
72
Well, that's what I'm suggesting.
wait, 60 visits or 72 visits?
That would depend on the vendor.
No, if we, the 133 for the 133 for Premier, does that include,
That's based,
is that for 72
That's
visits
based-
or for 60?
that's based on 60.
You see, he changed the number of visits, so I think we should stay with the 72 with Premier, because because we discussed that in the workshop. If we start changing around how many visits we're gonna do, they're gonna say, well, we didn't do that right. So, Bill, I think you came to about 140 for all three. You came
I
to
was
about,
just trying to equate the contracts,
all right, well,
proposals. But yes, if we go with the 72, then yes, it's
about
more
140.
like 140,000.
Can you do it for 130 for all three contracts?
Um,
And you don't have to answer me.
yeah, for the record, Bill Kurth, Premier Lakes.
Yeah, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so you don't have to answer that right now, but that's kind of what we discussed at the workshop.
Yeah, so I mean, I would obviously have to have a conversation with our president before we make any decision like that. I would tell you that, obviously, we had a conversation about whether we could sharpen our pencil, and we did slightly. My concern would be, I know some of your bids actually included a significant number for cleanup. And it's not just a per visit cost. The cost of controlling ballast area is a significant chemical cost. And that's why some of your vendors, I think I saw, 16,000 or above that cleanup for the first month. Any vendor that comes in is going to lose money in the first couple of months. So, it's not just about the amount of visits. It's about utilizing the proper herbicide, utilizing it effectively. And I think I would comment that if you checked our references, I'm sure that they were good. We have that high level of confidence of the level of service we're providing.
That's why I'm talking to you.
So I think our total was 141, and there are some differences, in the contracts.
Absolutely.
If you in terms of contract.
No, there definitely are, and we realize that,
Hold on, Ken.
I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Ken.
okay.
So Rich, just for clarification, if we go with Premier Lakes as they proposed it, their total for the three would be 147,240.
Is that right? I thought it was about 140.
It's 147,240. Their bid was 85,440 for aquatics, 59,400 for preserve, and 2,400.
He's utilizing our proposal.
That's the old proposal, Ken.
I'm not sure I have a new one.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, we were 141,000 even.
Yeah.
So those were last month, no?
Yes.
Last meeting.
Correct. Did my homework.
Okay.
And I don't even have my notes. So see what you can do for us.
Yeah, they went to 79 too.
So we have limitations, obviously, we have a community to deal with and budget issues and serious budget issues to deal with. So anything you can do to help us, because we did like the proposals, we think we need the amount of visits that you're providing. I don't want to start skimping on that, because if I go from 72 to 60, then you're going to come up to say, well, I told you we really needed 72, and that's kind of why it doesn't look as good as it should. I don't want to hear that. I want to.
Yeah, no, and we have, as I said in the last meeting, we have no interest in coming in here and not performing well. You have some issues that need significant attention. And, I do see there's a lot of spraying that's been done since the last time I was here. And, unfortunately, in some of that, I see damage to your beneficial littorals a little bit, which is a little difficult to stay away from when you're going after massive submerged weed issues. But, one of the lakes coming into Main Boulevard, it's over all the spike rush.
But the lake behind my house is all that way. It's yeah.
Yep, and
the whole lake.
And so, a lot of it goes to experience and ability, and we're doing that. But I will have a conversation with our president and move forward.
So
I think what we decided is that we would like Ken to negotiate this, as our ponds are, to negotiate with you and see what we can come up with. What I'm not sure is if we want to do a negotiation with a not to exceed, or just wait until the next meeting and see what Ken comes up with. And I don't think 2 weeks is gonna.
September.
I thought it was.
August.
How long do you need to start?
Well, what is the date of the contract?
Yeah, that's my first question.
You said it to me last meeting.
I think somebody said August.
August 31st.
Ken, do you know what the date of the contract is currently?
We'll find it in a second, I think. Belinda said it to me last meeting.
Rich, to answer your question, typically we can almost start immediately. I will tell you with the workload we have coming on and goals, I have 3 new employees that are starting employment in August. We're concerned that they're going to get filled up very quickly. So we're in high demand. So depending, right? But normally it's a week. But I would say we've got a significant amount of new work. It's already contracted starting in August, and we have more coming.
If we first wait till August 11th to discuss it and then get a contract signed and whatever else, we may have a couple weeks lapse.
Did you find the date? I'm sorry.
August 31st.
It is August
First is when
31st.
it terminates.
Well, I think we already have the contract, right?
Well, it won't take me long to do a contract.
Yeah.
If you go with Premier, we just did a contract with Premier at Cheval West up in Hillsborough County. Should be
So you got
pretty easy to
So
put one together.
give Ken 2 weeks to negotiate.
Or
I think that, so Ken will be in touch with you to negotiate.
Absolutely.
And then we need to make a decision though on August 11th.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, once I discuss with Ken, we'll make a decision
Right.
within an hour.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
So I will add this to the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Thanks, Ken.
10:45. Does anybody need a break?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good time, because I know John will.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna take a 10-minute break and we're gonna go off the record at 10:45 a.m.
Come on, take your seats, please.
Linda.
So supervisors, we are going to get back on the record. It is now 10:55 a.m. and we are back on the record.
Okay. Ken, you wanted to, continue the conversation?
Yeah, if I can. I'll try to be quick. So, two things to bring up. One, under the current pricing, as modified, there's a almost $26,000 difference between going 100% with Premier and splitting it between Solitude and Premier. Seems like a lot. So, I don't know if you want to give me the authority of a not to exceed negotiation with Premier or not. We can wait till the 11th and see how things end up. The only other thing I want to point out in my summary to all of you, two other companies came up, and maybe it's too late to pursue this, but two other companies that are being talked about with other clubs and HOAs are Florida Aquatic Solutions and Aquatic Weed Control. And I was gonna ask Keith if he had heard of either one of those.
No, I hadn't heard of them, Ken.
And Keith also mentioned to me as I walked in that he's a little concerned about the timing as of now. So I think we really need to get a rush on something or somebody as soon as possible. So
Except we
I
can't,
have no, I can talk, well, I can talk to Premier today, tomorrow, as soon as they have their internal discussions.
well, he said within an hour, so.
yeah, but we can't cancel the current contract till August 31st anyway, so.
No, I'm not saying cancel, but we need to get the other people onboarded and ready to start September 1.
Yeah.
And if it's gonna take a week or two to do that, August 11th is getting tight.
So if we do like a not to exceed of.
Yeah. Or do you want to longer?
Why 135?
Just in case I don't go to 1:30. But hopefully they're going to 1:30.
They're 141.
Yeah. The potential for additional work is there for them to change orders. There's always change order work. So I'm sure they're likely to take it.
What do we have in the budget next year? I mean, how far over budget are we going now? And that was part of the conversation. is
Right.
We're, yeah.
Well, yeah, we're
way up.
I don't know, well, I can't remember
And why
what the
would
budget.
why wouldn't we let Solitude have the aeration?
Yeah,
Well,
what would it be if we?
The aeration is at the difference of $200.
No, it's
2,500.
the aquatic maintenance, Cindy.
Oh, was that what it was? Okay, I'm sorry, Ken. Yeah, okay, so.
Yeah.
All right. So why wouldn't we give
Well,
that
yeah.
to Solitude? No? I'm getting a head shake from Joe.
Here's my
Well,
perspective.
Okay.
Hang on, we've used Solitude in the past. And I think for the most part, we were reasonably happy with them. I know they've gone through some staff changes, so the guy that we used to have as our tech is no longer there. That doesn't mean they don't have other techs. I don't know. The references on them were mixed. I mean, Heritage Oaks has used them for 20 years. Founders Club was a little mixed on them, but they said basically when they've had issues, they've responded.
So Lynn, what's the budget?
52,374.
Excuse me?
Per day.
Oh, just a buck, so new
Just
God.
a buck.
Okay.
And then, preserve.
That was a good look.
$44,900.
So it's $99,000 in there, so it's about
In that area.
like $101,000 with aeration.
Okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't pick that up.
It sounds to be about $101,000, give or take a few, for all three.
In the budget.
In the budget.
In the budget,
Okay.
okay.
Keith, do you think there's any problems with having two vendors out there? Are they gonna cross over with each other? Is there gonna be any finger pointing? I mean, I know. one
Yes, that
person-
happens, it's happened. Solitude does the, pond for the golf course, the big pond. And so they've had words, between and so. And it's just, hi, guys, thank you. Turn down my property,
Yeah, I mean, how do you start, where does the pond end and the little shelf start? So how do you start giving it to two different people, who's responsible?
Well, the lit shelf is part of the pond.
Yeah.
Preserved.
It's preserved versus,
Right.
So a question that would be,
but they are defined.
so could you talk to Belinda and see what other spots in the budget, maybe if we were gonna go with a higher number, where we could find money from and then come up to I wonder what a not to exceed number would be.
So, well, next year we're gonna have extra monies because we're going to go to a true burden, regardless of who we go with. It's gonna be real burden versus 30%.
Yeah, but this is on the CDD
This is on
side.
the other side,
That's right.
yeah. So I think we're back to having Ken negotiate and then come back to us on August 11th.
That's what I would prefer, because I think you need to negotiate the best deal with both Solitude
Yeah.
and Premier.
Yeah.
And see where we end up, and
Yeah.
then we can have this discussion, because this is a big overrun, this isn't,
Yeah.
this
Not
isn't 10%.
No,
This is a
That's my
lot.
concern.
okay,
Yeah, okay,
okay,
Well,
thank you.
yeah, I will talk to both of them.
thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
So no
See
pressure,
what we can
Ken.
do.
No pressure at all.
No,
Thank you, Ken.
So,
Jill, did you want to make some introductions?
yeah, I'd like to, well, let me see if I don't know if I need to grab this. I'm sitting over here because I'm gonna drive this line, so. Yes, do you want to come? I want to introduce, John Swidbrack, who's Vice President of AODK. AODK is the, firm that we have been working with for a number of months now on options for the LaSalle Bar. He's been a great partner, and so we put together a deck for both for the board and for the community, I would say. We're going to start out with Nancy Spakowski, going through just a recap of where we've been and what we're looking to do, and then she's going to turn it over to John to go through the options themselves. And maybe at this point, I'd just like to say these are concepts, right? These are not hard and fast. Everything in there you see is a fixed element. It's to give you an idea of where we could conceive of having things. So we'll go through this pretty briskly, and then try to leave as much time as we can for questions. So I'll turn it over to you, and I'll drive the slides.
No, it just to make it easier. This is. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I don't want to go over too much that you've already heard about, but there's a number of people that are here and maybe listening in that aren't familiar with what has gone on so far with LaSalle working groups. So as you know, we had a number of focus group sessions, met with experts, met with GM and other people that work for Vesta about LaSalle, and the conclusions that we reached at that, based on all those efforts, were people want a larger, more functional space, a larger actual bar, casual public atmosphere, a destination that they can come up, drop in, have a drink, have a burger, just a place that they can come to without a reservation to meet friends, to enjoy. They want the indoor space to have a little bit more connectivity with the outdoor space and to be screened in order to be functional. A more modernized look and more modernized furniture. And they also do want to maintain the distinction between the bar and the dining spaces, but not to combine it all into one big space, and to increase the capacity and functionality of the La Sala space to improve the revenue. People are walking in and leaving because they can't get a drink. They see the big lines. They see the no tables available for them. So that's the other goal. So these are the things that we talked with John about when we first met him, saying, how can we take what we have and accomplish these sorts of objectives? So to review what we've done so far, we spent 14 months working on looking at other properties, focus group meetings, written surveys, community survey, and we presented our findings. Can't remember the number of pages in our report, but 72-page report that we provided to the board on 3/10/2025. At that meeting, the board authorized us to engage John's firm to draw up potential concepts to meet the objectives of the community. John has been working with us. We've had several meetings with him on site and a lot of calls between various members to talk about the possible ways that we could achieve the objectives. We met with club management, Kelso, and prior personnel here, as well as food and beverage, et cetera, to talk about what they were finding to be challenges with the existing space. And we developed a recommendation for the board to consider today. So next, John is going to talk about the options that he's developed that would achieve our goals.
Good morning. Do we have a laser any chance, or is it okay if I come up and point?
I think you should just.
I like to
Hold on, I'll point.
Do you want me to stand up?
Do you want to?
I can squeeze my. Okay, to start off, the group that I work with, I'm very impressed with how much they are devoted to listening to the community and doing their work. They provided the documents and the studying and the background in there to proceed with this study here. And I'm just always pushed back to what's the community saying, what do they want, what do we need to do to make this work. So I'll try to run through this short. I get lengthy, and Jill, after I go through some of these, if there's anything I'm missing, please speak up with that in terms of communicating what we're doing here.
Yes.
So the goals of the project here: the larger space, larger bar, the flow between indoor and outdoor spaces, and to improve the overall functionality. We at our firm, we like to look at all the options. We could go 5, 6, 7 options. There were options that we didn't present that I didn't bring here, but we wanted to look at, even if it's a bad solution, let's talk about it, why it was we thought it was good, which direction it was going. Really, the bar, we took that and we put it in 3 locations, which we'll show here. That was really the core: bigger bar, like larger space, larger bar. So the first option here being the island bar. This is staying in the La Sala Lounge, and we call it the island bar because it became an island in the room. To maximize the bar space, that's really the only area it could go within the La Sala Lounge. The exterior bar would be next. Exterior bar, we pulled that bar and we said, okay, what if we put it outside? Outside being in this covered space currently, the plan being to enclose that and create a bar space outside. Or outside the building envelope now, but to enclose it connected to the existing. And then the last one we'll look at is what we call the central bar. This was bringing the bar back inside to the building and central to both activity spaces, the dining room and the La Sala Lounge.
I think I'll just add one thing here too, which is, this was all because there would potentially be other options if we're willing to start attacking exterior walls, but it's just too costly. So that's why we are where we are.
Okay, so island bar option, our goals with this was a larger space, a larger bar, the flow, indoor and outdoor flow, and then the improved overall functionality, so what we already discussed. I think we understand where we're at. If there's anybody who doesn't really get it, we're standing in this room over here, right? The main entrance to the building is down here and coming straight in, the LaSalle Lounge in the back there. So this option, it provided us with a bigger bar, more seating, better socialization, a two-sided bar, kind of circular oval shaped bar here. Provided those options, but we started to see that it reduced some of our table area. We lost occupant load in there a little bit. The oval bar does create a little difficulty with service. Bartenders, in terms of equipment down low, turning to the other side of the bar. It's a tight space. Not that it can't be done, but it is a tight space in there. The flow of that bar to the other areas throughout was also something that came up in terms of a little bit difficult. Having servers in the dining room come over and be able to pick up here drink orders and get them back out became a little difficult in there. And then with this, like as I mentioned, we lost some table seating, some lounge seating in here. So the idea was, where can we make this back up? How can we do that? And what you're seeing in this area right through here, that's what we were proposing to enclose. Now, all options show it enclosed because we did feel that's a great option. Could that be a phased option? Of course it could. Any of the outside space could be a phased option because we're really focusing on the bar here. But that space that we see outside that's covered, we would utilize that structure and close it with doors insulated HVAC through there. This option we did have, there were some things we did like about it, of course, but coming in the lobby, we wanted to create this destination point. So as you come in, you clearly see bar activity. There's people back there, just hanging out. Maybe there's a little music back there, but you have that immediate visual to the back. We were also looking at the rotunda in here now, or kind of circulation space, and trying to give it a little bit more purpose. So this would be really the main entrance then into the dining room through here. So coming in, kind of this reception area, and then walking through and getting out to the dining room. We show up some storage space with that. We were looking to put a wine display in here, and then create that flow a little bit, different flow out to that area. I will say that this space was one of the hot topics as we talked about it. It's circulation space, it's not used. Is there a way we can use it and have it functional? So in these options, not all of them looked at using that space in that same way, but we did look at it in this area. We even carved out a little niche here of kind of a booth seating, maybe like a family booth we call them, but an area that could be a little bit more private than being out in the island bar area.
So I think just in summary, one of the most important challenges was a larger bar. And this option, unfortunately, the only thing it did was gave us a larger bar, but it didn't give us increased table seating around the bar. It didn't fix the congestion problem. It didn't fix the service of the dining room problem. So all four of the elements that we wanted to achieve, it only achieved one of them, the larger bar.
Do we move on to the next?
Yes, yeah, go ahead. So the external bar option, and to be honest, this was exciting when this one came up. We were all excited. We look at, consider this outdoor space that could be potentially some usable space. Looking back at the island option, we said, okay, now the LaSalle Lounge can become a full lounge. It can become this hangout space, gathering space, if we remove the bar from it. It was exciting because it's the visual connection between indoor and outdoor. Sitting at the bar and looking out to the yard there, it was an exciting option. There were some things that as we went through it, then again, we had some goals that we were trying to check off, and you see here, larger space. It was a larger bar that we were showing. The flow between indoor and outdoor, it was fantastic. The overall functionality, that was the part that we really struggled with. How do we get to this bar, and how do we interact with it from the two spaces being the dining room and the LaSalle Lounge. We want this to be a social location. We were still keeping this circulation space here and storage area. We really weren't touching that now. It was like, okay, we can focus now on the outside. Coming into the LaSalle Lounge, we still wanted a focal point in here, but create this as that lounge space. Now go grab a drink, go over here, you can get served over here. We've got some dining tables, some more lounge seating in this area. But then we push that bar to the outside. And here you see that this would be the outside perimeter that we would be closing off with windows, much like the last option. An exterior door to get outside, an exterior door over here. This long bar, which sitting at this bar created these nice views outside. Also wide enough here so you could have some 2-3 people deep there at the bar, if it's socializing, if it's getting drinks. Then we had the flow in here to the dining room that could be closed off, and we could just have the flow go through the LaSalle Lounge through there, and then server access could come through this area as well, being that if we needed to close these doors. That was exciting because it was like, all right, now it gives privacy to the dining room, but that wasn't really one of the goals that we talked about. That social atmosphere was to really interact a little bit more with it. They didn't point out on the other options there, but I will say this screened area, okay? That was another task in our conversation of, can we connect the indoors with the outdoors more, create more enjoyable space to be in. The lanai screened area, this would have a roof over it and be screened in. And then you see that hatched area over there with some exterior patio revisions as well. All trying to get everybody indoors and outdoors and create that flow a little bit better.
You said the lanai screen would have a roof on it?
Yes, it would be. It would be more like a lanai roof on there, so it could be a sandwich panel through there. We haven't gone into that in detail. It could just be a screen. It could just be a screen roof, but we know the sun out there is not going to be as enjoyable. Right about now, it's hitting hard. So have that screened in throughout the evenings and be able to be out there without bugs. Well, I didn't hit the negatives, and not that I'm like pointing at it, but
I was going to do that.
But,
Go ahead.
but there was some struggles with this. The first one being the one-sided bar. All right, having a better social bar to be at. Option one with the island, where you're sitting right across from each other. It seemed like more of an advantage. This one, you are looking outside. Is there a connection between people outside in that screen lanai and indoors visually? Yes. No really verbal or eye contact really at that point. More like awkward eye contact. Why is that guy staring at me? But that was really a tough part with this one here. The traffic. I talked about how we got the flow in here to the dining room and the flow of the servers coming out. It works, but is it really effective? Is it really as functional as we wanted it to be? We felt that that access from the dining room in and out of the bar could congest some things in that area. The servers having to come out of the dining room to grab drinks and then come back in, and how they might serve the LaSalle Lounge and even outdoors was a flow function in there. If you notice in this plan, the bar is outside external and there's no table seating around it. That was another red flag. We want that social atmosphere at the bar sitting there, but also with some high tops maybe behind us, or people in lounge chairs. Grab a drink and go sit down. Go pass by and talk to a friend at a table. We don't have that space in here. We've got it around it and outside of it, but not within that bar space. The destination point too, the kind of the tricky part to get to it. We love the island bar, had great access that you were coming in and boom, you hit the bar. This is kind of a flow that has to make you wind and wind back through there. Coming through the dining room, cutting through and going there. Probably wouldn't do it if the dining room was full, to be honest. Any other items?
Yeah, just to reiterate, we were concerned about the fact you enter into the lobby of the River Club, and to get to the bar, you're this way, or walking through the bar, there's just, that it's just not easily accessible for, I'm dropping in to have a drink, but I gotta go way over there and prove a lot of stuff. And then secondly, it's great that this is lounge space, but it's lounge space over here, bar over here, not combined. And people were mentioning to us the big thing they want is they want groups of people, large groups of people, small groups of people, right in the bar atmosphere, to be able to have drinks or food or snacks, appetizers, meals, but be within the bar space itself. And this is just cutting them off into two separate places. And then the functionality of just a linear bar, everybody sitting like this instead of being able to converse with the people. And we're also concerned with the space between the seats and going to the doors. It's kind of tight, so you're going to be sitting in your bar space and constantly people walking behind you. You can't move back to get out because you're going to be bumping into people behind you. So it's a little tight, but money-wise, moving the bar, the structural elements out further to make a wider space was, a big undertaking from a monetary perspective. So it wasn't really feasible to say, oh yeah, let's just expand the size this way. Okay. Next.
So the last option here is our central bar, and as we pointed out in the diagram before, the central bar is central to the dining area and the LaSalle lounge. So that connection right through here and through here is what we're looking at. This option is the only one that removes that circulation path that's through here. The item that was, do we need that, right? It's a lot of square footage. How can we better utilize that space? I had to be pushed a little bit, to be honest, because I tend to, be conscious of the architecture that was intentional originally, and what the plan is moving forward. That program, that desire for the design, the type of space changes over time, so I have to be open to that. But that is the biggest change through here, having the central bar. So walking you through the space here, we're coming in from the front area. We wanted to create a very nice centerpiece as you come in. So this might be an activity board, it might be a digital screen, it might just be artwork in there. But still, knowing that we're eliminating this view to the back, wanting to do something that calls to being the entrance and coming in. You then turn to the right here to enter down to the dining room or the bar. You see we've got a reception desk table here, our host station here, which would allow you to come in and still engage in this bar area or continue on into the dining room. This bar, it's an L-shaped central bar. We started with the U-shape or the back-to-back, total eye contact with somebody, out to the straight bar, not having that, to this L shape, which creates some visual connection across the bar, conversation. Noticing someone's over, let's come over here, sit down. It never happens. Nobody buys me a drink when I see them cross like that, but maybe that could happen here. I don't know. But that bar created more of a social atmosphere that we were looking for, that connection. You'll see on this one here, there's a lot of seats around the outside. This did give us the most seating for our bar. That again, that was larger bar, larger space, was at the top of the list there. It's not exponentially larger. And if we said, hey, we want to get 2 more seats, there is some flexibility with these plans, being concept plans, there's some flexibility with it. Then immediately this connection now between here and the LaSalle lounge was much longer. So we were opening up this wall. We had some columns to deal with, to put in here. Bob and I have studied the structure. He provided a lot of information. My structural engineer, we looked at this together. It's not impossible. Are there things that we have to do? Yes. Is it above and beyond to stop the project? No. But we know there's things that have to be included in there. That also allowed us to save that table seating. So in our plan here, we've got some storage and circulation space that we ate up, okay? Well, we need that storage for a bar especially. That's another thing that some of these bars, the other options didn't really have, was that storage, immediate storage space. Not completely necessary, but really nice for liquor storage, anything in the back there. And we created a storage area back here for that. So it chewed up the circulation, but added that storage back in. We did not lose the tables and seating that we were worried about with the first two options. This LaSalle lounge could go back to similar to option 2, where it can be all seating in here, lounge. We show a mix of seating, tables, sofas in here, some chairs. That's down the road a little bit. How do we want this space to act, and how do we want that to feel? Are these high top communal tables so we can sit down with big groups, or break out into smaller groups through here? So we were really happy with getting that table seating, that occupant load that we wanted back into the project. Between the dining room and the bar, we have this screen right here. It's showing more like a planter screen, kind of similar to what you have out there. This is a reoccurring kind of concern / solution with a lot of projects I'm working on. I do a lot of clubhouse work. Actually, Esplanade, beautiful facility. They want to put a wall up now, and the question is, do we make it a screen wall, similar to what I had done down in Boca Grande Club, with a perforated wall, so you could still have a little bit of sound and visual in there. We talk about closing doors, sliding doors to be able to close it off. Those are all options that could happen with this. But we knew we wanted to make some separation between there, but yet connect. So, like your separation planters that you have, they create a buffer in there. I'm sure when you stack them up side by side, they can create a nice wall buffer in there. But we still wanted that connection as one of our goals: flow indoor and outdoor, and improve the overall functionality. This particular bar, we were looking at having server access to pick up drinks over on this side that could really feed the dining room separately. And then a server area right here for drinks that could serve the LaSalle lounge, and potentially, food that could come out if it's waiting here or not. That flow between indoor and outdoor with food traffic, it's something that we didn't have to necessarily solve with this, because there's a function that works now. But we felt like the flow from the dining room out, need be, could work. Currently, there's some flow that happens like this. It goes in some different areas, but we felt like that functional flow was good. This option as well, we're showing the patio, a little bit of patio work out here, enhancing that environment. The lanai screening is included in this, and even enclosing that area outside. We still felt that was a great idea to be able to expand dining room space. Another private dining room, to be honest, that could be closed down and utilize that space as private dining room. Anything else that I missed here?
No, you haven't missed anything all
Okay.
along. I'm just reiterating it so everybody makes sure that they take it all in.
Okay.
So in this situation, we're really accomplishing the goal of having enough tables and lounge seating and whatnot right in the bar area. And this is the thing that we constantly heard from the focus groups. They want to come to a bar, but they want also the table service to be just in proximity to the bar, so it's a real bar space. But similarly to what we saw in many of the developments that are being done these days, the bar is in the middle, and if you end up having the Christmas party of the club, you can have nice tables here, you can have setups for food stations in the bar area, you can have appetizers out in the enclosed other area, and you can use the whole space as one big combined space when you need to for certain kinds of events. Whereas right now we have sort of the sala at the door and it's closed off, and the dining room. So this does give a lot more flexibility to the use of the space. You might just, if lunches are not very well attended all of the time, say in the summertime, you could have just the bar area open for lunch with the dining room not opened. And it gives you a small, more intimate lunch area. If you're having a anniversary party or a birthday party, you can use just that outdoor space and it's closed off. So this just gives you a lot of ways to use the space and achieve the goals of a larger bar and spacing for seating and communal tables and that sort of thing within the bar area. And then once again, you enter and you see the bar right in front of you. You decide, am I going to the bar tonight or do I have a reservation at the dining room? So it's right in front of you, not a difficulty to get to those different spaces.
One?
So you can probably tell based on the nature of what I was saying is the work group feels that the central bar best addresses all of the resident management expert feedback that we got. The bar is more functional. The 2 service stations really allows the dining room to be properly serviced without interfering with the people that are using the bar. And then there's a second service bar location proximate to the lounge area. So if food is being served in there, drinks are being served in there, table service, they have a way of getting the service bar from that end of it. So the 2 service bars is a really good element that helps with the congestion that we're facing right now, as well as proximity to the dining room. The outdoor space connectivity, you can see from that bar space right into the area that is now being closed. There's a nice casual vibe in the area because you have all of those seats proximate to the bar. I already talked about the multiple uses of the spaces. And the bar is a real focal point. When you walk in, you see this nice, large bar space right in front of you. And then we can talk about the divider. We have seen sort of filigreed metal that goes up at a higher level than just planters. That was at Heritage Oaks. So there's a lot of ways that you can create the divider element to be functional and also attractive to create the division between the spaces. So where are we now and what do we want from you all? We already had contracted with John's firm for $5,000, not to exceed $5,000 fee, and he has expended a portion of that money with all of the meetings and drawing up these options for us. We would now like to just utilize the rest of that money, a portion of the rest of that money, which we've already approved, to have John produce preliminary pricing documents so we can go out to a couple of firms and get I'm going to call it a guesstimate, I don't know if that's the right word, of how much this would cost to do. And we would hope to do it in somewhat segmented fashion so that we know that the screened-in area is costing X and the outdoor patio is costing Y. So when we start seeing what the numbers look like, we can start to maneuver and make changes based on elements of the cost. So this would be just us telling John to go ahead and get us a better idea of what it costs on this central bar concept. And at the time that we came back to you, within 90 days, with that information, we would hope to produce a preliminary return on investment. If we do this, what will it mean in terms of expected revenue, which of course is a big, is that how they do it? But at least we would try to make a stab at what the value of putting in this capital investment into the club would be. And we would work with Kelso and his team on that. And we would also want to develop our next step plan. What are we going to do with resident communication? What is the process for going out and getting real bids with structural drawings that are executable, not this sort of estimate of cost. And we would want to tell you what the plan that we suggest for those processes would be at that next meeting. So really just proceeding to price out the Central Bar concept and give us a further idea of where we go from there. I do want to point out one other thing. We have already drafted a community communication. It's about 3 pages. It's sort of set up as an FAQ that you may want to consider looking at and seeing if that's something that you want to send out in the next couple of weeks. It doesn't really address this stuff. It more says, what have you done? Why have you done it? Where do we go from here? To give the community an idea of what's going on with this. We're getting questions on, what's the scoop.
At what point do we get to have some feedback to the designers? I have some concerns, so.
Right now.
Okay, can we go back to the central?
The Central Bar?
Yeah, okay. So we're walking in here, so the concerns we have is walking up to here. So now we've got to walk here, walk up here behind these chairs. So everybody's gonna walk up here to go over here. And now I'm sitting up here, now I need to go to the bathroom. I gotta go all the way back over here. You have no access this way. The people serving food are probably gonna wanna come in through the dining room as opposed to going here. It's gonna get through. So, and then we're losing dining room space. And then if we have an event with a band and dance floor, we lose even more space because we're taking it up. I was just thinking, and I don't know, John, if we could take this bar, flip it 90 counterclockwise, so it goes this way, that way. Storage over here that blocks up a lot of that. It blocks a lot of the noise going this way, gives you more access, opens this up. So storage here, bar this way, that way. And now you're open.
It's definitely possible. We could look at other options in there. I think putting that storage back in, it's the discussion of, do we want the bar to feel more open to the dining or closed off to the dining?
Yeah, well,
I think there's gonna be different views on it, and I'm glad you're bringing that up.
I mean, that's something to be discussed, but it does block, it blocks off part of it, so it blocks off some of the noise, but still opens it up in the rest of the area, so you're losing a little, so you're creating some barrier. And then if you have that wall there, then you folding doors, the folding doors can go into, can go in a little bit better and then block up more of the noise, but still some paths and access.
And that might eliminate the issue of, the columns we were talking
Yes.
about.
Over here. Yeah, because the bar goes here to column and comes back that. And then storage over here. This one can then get pushed further this way, opens up more dining room space. And we have floor plans and visuals. And then they have your access through. So now you come in, you see the happening, access to the bathrooms, access to the dining room, still have compatibility, and now your dining room staff can go this way or that way.
And if we were gonna do that, coming back to the ask from the Summer Work Group, we can still, if we were to go out to get some preliminary costs, I guess that isn't executed, doing that, would that materially change?
So one of the goals of going to get preliminary pricing is to narrow down a plan.
Yes.
And then following that would be the bidding phase. And once we have an approved direction, final drawings, we can get other contractors interested and involved. Even if going in the preliminary design, there's methods we can use with, documentation on building construction costs and things like that. I would rather engage a builder who I'm comfortable with, who might be interested to bid it, knowing this, you don't have the job here, but being able to break it down and say, okay, this is what we're demoing, this is what we're building new, and have a better idea on that preliminary pricing estimate. So I'd rather make those changes and kind of narrow it down. Are there going to be changes? Of course there are. There are going to be changes there. But trying not to change the main idea through here, and which I think we're headed in the direction of not having the higher exterior, having it central. I think the valid point of the circulation flow through here, I know we mentioned, yeah, you could come outside and go in the bathrooms, back outside and back inside. Is that the most desirable? Probably not, but you guys live here, you understand how it works and flows. I'm sure people do that all the time in terms of a different path. And then, like you said, screening from that. My concern, you mentioned initially putting a storage room of something, which is kind of more permanent. And then you just mentioned maybe there's doors that can pocket in and open. I think it's that flexibility to have a way to close the room off and open it up and do that. I definitely think that could be an option in here. We did discuss how, again, that connection with dining room and the bar, there's going to be difference of opinions on it, whether or not we like that or not. I know there's not a lot of receptions here, but you'd have the bar more connected to a reception. We did, if this thing is movable through here, we put these dashed lines on the drawings, we went back and forth, but they're to represent kind of the comfort ceilings that are in there. And knowing that we've got some lighting, that we don't want to kind of redo all this, the ceiling and the coffers and soffits and everything. But could this wall move to here? Could this wall move to here? Could it be, left where it is and maybe it's a little bit more permanent, able to close that off? My only concern with making this long line right here, a bar, is to make sure we have that enough width in here. We talked about the bar outside and how that was kind of tight on that back side. We obviously want circulation through. If it's a circulation path of just, I'm using a restroom or I'm making my way to the cellar because I don't want to cut through the dining room and wrap around. I just want to make sure we've got that breathing room in there.
But you would lose that server station then for the bar area.
The server station might come, out of the corner, it might come back here so servers can get to it. I think the bigger thing with this one was how do we get 2 server locations, one for the dining, one for.
This is kind of a playground. So that's what we look like.
Yep, turning around.
So you turn it around and you can put a service station here in the room like right in the corner over there. So you can still get them.
Yep.
Could you also even turn it, I have the same thought of turning the bar, because I think, but could you just push the bar up and then make more seats on the other side and leave the seats on that side?
Like extend this down here, push this up.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, that didn't really fit.
Yeah, as we,
And pull it in a little bit though?
this way here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like if we could
It's still an L.
pull this thing back a little bit and get it up into here is where the feedback is at.
Kind of makes more sense. My only other comment would be, actually 2. One is, I personally don't like the idea of the 4-foot planters. I think something like a temporary wall or something, if we're gonna put all this into it, let's make a nice wall that we can separate when we need to and open up when we don't need to. And then my other comment would be, I think the lanai screen might even need to be a little bit bigger, because I think people will enjoy that much more than the open patio. Because there's bugs back there because of that preserve, that nature walk. I would make that lanai screen bigger and not maybe spend as much time on the completely open seating area.
Well, yeah, that was just, well, John could answer this, but that's a completely additional area that if you were going to extend that to be screened area, it's much more of a construction situation.
Over here, just
over there, yeah.
See, I thought because of pavers, that would just kind of be open. That wasn't.
Yeah, no,
designed
that's what it
yet.
is now, but
Yeah,
your suggestion of
I would say extend
more
that
of that
line.
extended is
Make
is
the
a
lanai
much
deeper.
more.
I would make the line much deeper, yeah.
Bring the lanai up to here.
Because
Right,
that's
oh,
what she
exactly,
said.
that's what
Yeah,
she's saying.
Exactly,
make
that's
it
what I agree.
Deeper this way.
Closer,
That's
closer to the boardwalk,
That way, closer to
closer
the
to the
boardwalk.
preserve.
No,
Deeper,
two
the
different
preserve
things.
is that way.
Yeah.
That one.
Up towards.
Oh, yeah, I'm pointing like this.
Right,
Right,
here.
that way.
That way.
Yeah, that way.
Go,
Yeah, go all the way out.
Towards the
To
preserve.
here.
Oh, I get
I
it.
would go as far as you can, because
Yes.
then people feel like they're on their lanai.
Yeah.
It doesn't like sitting on the lanai with no bugs.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and that would really not change much.
It doesn't change much, it just extends your.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really wouldn't.
It eliminates more
I
of
thought
the
you were
grass.
talking about this page.
It's okay with the footer.
So in the interest of time, what, do you want to mention the idea that? Well, if you guys want to think about this.
Well, yeah, okay, I think there's two things. I think that's a
It's a
good
great idea.
idea to consider,
Yes.
what we could do in terms of a living, and I think your point of, let's just do it now, but I'm gonna say something else, before we go and try to do the cost estimate, so that we're actually pricing what we like as planned. But one of the, thoughts that we had today, depending on, how you were all reacting, is would each of you supervisors like to schedule a meeting with LWG, not with Jill, obviously, for Sunshine, and come in and actually give all of your detailed thoughts on each of these plans, so that we can then get back to John and say, how about this, and this? John, you wouldn't attend these, obviously, you
And
would
one
need
of the
to.
things
These would be like working sessions with each of you to give us the 5 or 10, how about considering this, how about this?
And one other thing for John that we were really cognizant of, so in 2027, I believe it is, or 2020, the hallways in front of the lobby and whatever is supposed to be painted, 2027, the tile's supposed to be replaced. We're gonna be ripping through areas of flooring and carpet and painting and this and that. So we really should think about a very cohesive plan for at least that little section. But then we have to figure out how that's gonna tie into this, because if you're ripping up the floor, and you're not gonna have floor, you're gonna put down a temporary this, or you're gonna go permanent that. We need to understand what that's gonna be, and then if you're gonna redo this room, where does the painting end? Because this room is planned to be recarpeted in 2028, I think, 2029. We painted in 2030, the light finishes in 2031. So, I mean, if we're
I
doing.
was studying.
So if we're doing all of this here, this is all going to affect everything else. So we should think about, and I don't want to forestall this, and maybe we could think about getting the screening done sooner than later, and some other elements done that's not going to affect this, but we need to think about holistically this whole end of the building.
Jill, we had talked about the master plan of the building, right, at one point, and how might this affect it? And in terms of growth and additions and stuff, that's more like what we were talking about, but this is great to get those calendar items in and see how it can affect it and what to do, what not to do.
So if you've been silent, Ken, but if you were all right with that, Nancy and Libby, whoever it was, had the suggestion on this.
So we would then set up appointments with each of the 3 of you to get your feedback. And we can do it with Ken over the phone if you would like, Ken. That's up to you. So you can let me know, and we try to do that like within the next 2 weeks or so.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I think maybe for the other supervisors, just 2 other quick things. So I think that we should make sure we post this presentation on the CDD website together with the big workbook that we gave to the board back in March. And secondly, if you would like to see a draft communication to residents, I can work with the team and we could pare it down to be more reflective of what the board discussed today, so that either it gets used at the next meeting, or if you feel we should communicate with the community sooner, we can do that. But there is there's flexibility there, so if we feel we need to communicate, so.
My feeling is I would not send, I would just let the community know that we review some plans and we're in the process of revising them. And when we have a better.
We can put that in an email that
Because
sends
if
a
you start
link.
putting the 3 plans out, people are gonna, I was confused by it, they're gonna not understand it. And then if we now change the whole thing and flip the bar and open it up, that's gonna change people's minds too.
So you're saying don't post this?
This is a work in progress. at this
I
point.
I think we wait until Libby and Nancy have gathered
Great.
information from us, and
Okay.
then we say, okay, this is.
Okay. And if we get a request, for it, obviously, okay, that's
Right,
fine.
yeah.
Okay, so that's a great suggestion. Okay, good. So we're good.
I,
Ask a couple of questions.
Yes.
Yes,
Sight unseen. Does this plan take away any dining room seating capacity?
Yes.
very little. There's 2 large tables right now that are, I'm pointing to, like, he's in the room. But, yeah, I'm gonna show you that in a second.
I got the idea.
That get taken out at that far end of the bar, but they get, picked up extra. There's actually more seating now than there, would be before because of what's in La Sala and that other enclosed space.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the dining room.
Yeah, just the two large round tables, and that would.
No, but everything else is getting pushed up as well. This is pushed up and this is pushed up. I know, but the same for Nancy, these 2 are getting pushed up. So if we have a dance floor or music, you lose this.
Well, okay, everything.
No, I know that.
From here to here is exactly as it is now. The tables that he drew, they don't need to be drawn in the same place. So we're missing only the 2 large tables if you took total count minus.
If you turn the bar 90 degrees, as we talked about,
You
you
lose
still
the
lose
space.
those 2 tables. Or could you gain them?
Well, I think we need to see what the.
But that's what I mean, I mean, I don't think
measurements
we
are.
know the answer to that, is kind of my point. until
Yeah,
we sit in there.
you're right in that
You may
regard.
have some smaller tables, but not necessarily 10 floor rounds.
Yeah. Because we have a lot of sold out events, as it is, in the dining room.
Well,
And that was my concern.
yes, and they could be deployed to sit in that new covered area.
Right.
So we pick up all of the seats, in a different place.
Maybe.
But we will count that off and give you more specifics on
Well,
actual numbers.
Is the covered area windows gonna be permanently closed or are those gonna be open up? Or what's
The plan was that this area here would be permanently closed,
Okay.
and conditioned,
So basically where our pillars are at right now outside.
Yep.
So it's additional dining.
So it's additional
It
dining,
is, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
you
we
can-
left the doors in there, similar to the other private dining rooms that we have, so you have a visual connection, but you can close it off.
I just want to add a couple things since I can't talk to y'all till the next meeting. Of all the seats that people can sit in that generate revenue, the dining room seats are the least valuable, number one. Number 2, if you look at events now, I forget what it was something recently, and everybody wanted to sit in the bar. People did not want to sit in the dining room. And I think, when you're here 12 months here, you see a lot of that. People would much rather be in the bar. So I think part of the overall thought process we need to have is, what do residents want and where do residents want to sit? And I hear you on maximizing the dining room space, but that's just my view.
But in the kinds of events, just not the regular, Wolfie band event, but the big events like Christmas party, seasonal opening event, whatever, you would use the entire facility. And
Yes.
On the doors between the dining room and the new enclosed space, is there a different type of door that could be put in there because those doors, obviously, to fold them open, they take up a lot of walkway space and take up a lot of space. is there some kind of sliding door type of thing that could be put in there that was open, doesn't take up as much space, and maybe get a few more tables in there, and that's also make it look like that space is really more part of the dining room space.
Yeah.
Because even when those doors are open, it's still gonna look, I'm in another room.
Right. We could do a folding door, glass door system, if we were able to open up some of those. The opening's wider, right now there's a column system in there with window door. There's also arches and things, so there's pieces to look at there, but, you know, maybe it comes down to the bottom of the arch there, and we're able to do a glass folding door. Real walls, a company I worked a lot with, doing large expanses that can open.
Yep.
Divide.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, I'm not talking about major structural, but, you know.
Yeah,
the reason for-
So,
To bring that, you know, this is if we lose that space, we gain that space.
I think that's feedback that we can give Debbie and.
Yeah, I think that's
Nancy
just
as we're ready to do our one-on-ones with them, yes.
so, okay, so everybody's okay if you get a contract?
So you will hear from you three will hear, I'm gonna ask Ken in a minute, from either Libby or I.
Okay.
Schedule a time. Ken, do you want to do a phone call?
Oh, he's got another question.
Oh, okay, but can I just ask you before you ask that question, do you want to do a phone call to go over your particular thoughts on these plans with the group? Or no? We're gonna do in-person meetings with Cindy, Rich, and Cheryl. Got your name from it. Do you want to schedule a phone call, you know, a Zoom, FaceTime thing with us? Yes or no?
Talking to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do. Okay. What's your additional question?
Are we losing any of that dining room, table, chair, storage space?
Well, it depends on the structure. So this particular plan, the central bar option, we currently have 199 square feet of storage space, and we would end up with 169 square feet of storage space if we went with this plan.
But it's also not quite the same, because if you have to roll in large tables, you won't be able to won't be able to spin them in, as right now you just roll them right in, and then this will have to, so you actually lose even more space, because you have to roll it and then turn it. So you need room inside the storage locker inside the storage to turn, so you're losing a little bit more space.
So they're losing that direct access to the dining room?
Yes.
Yes, it is entered to from La Sala now.
Yeah, that can be problematic.
Well, maybe we can.
Can you send me a copy of this?
Yeah.
Jill sent it to us, Ken.
I sent it yesterday, no,
Yeah,
Saturday.
Friday
Friday or Saturday.
Friday at 4:33.
I don't think I got it.
I mean, this also, if we're gonna do the locker room renovation, we had talked about adding storage into the locker room, so that could be potentially another place. So that's what I'm saying, we have to think holistically.
No, but that's
Well, yeah, I think that's where we connect with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Exactly.
And facilities, I mean, because the seller doesn't know about the facility side, so yeah.
But I know it.
Yes.
And there's Nancy's house.
Well, listen.
And there's Nancy who knows it all, yes.
So, and I, just one final thing that maybe for me is I want to say thank you, you know, both to everybody on the team, and all of whom is here except for Bob, who's on the phone.
Yeah.
And especially to John, who has kind of never said no when we've had some kind of a weird question. You always come up with some kind of a solution, even if it's not exactly what we're looking for. So I appreciate it. This is really good.
And I want to thank all the people that worked on the La Sala work group. They hours and hours and hours of time that were put in. It was impressive. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you so much.
Cool. All right.
Great,
Thanks.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
John, I'll spend a few minutes with you out here, if you don't mind. Continuing.
Can we have another 2-minute break?
Sure.
We're gonna take a 10-minute break, and we're gonna go off the record at 11:59 a.m.
And I just want to say one thing, if we're back on the record.
We're back on the record.
I want to thank Marcella Rosewood for all of the hard work, all the hours and hours and hours they put into it, so thank you very much.
It's thousands of man hours.
Thousands of man hours, yeah.
Thank you.
At least.
Okay, so we're back on the record at 12:07 PM. We're gonna be moving back in the agenda, so we are going to move into item number D, which is the discussion and review of the evaluation criteria and scoring of the amenity management company presentations and proposals.
Let's get that out of the way.
This is behind tab number 5, and then you also have the proposals from Bobby Jones and Hampton Golf behind tab number 6.
Okay. Paper together here.
Jill, do you want to take over this discussion?
Yeah, well, I guess, I'm not sure. On D, because we're on D, right? So I was just putting my paper together here. Do we feel we need to go through this? In other words, as a board, should we talk about how we use the sheet? And then go into the actual discussions? What do we do with the sheets? I mean, I'm not sure we want to turn these in the way we would turn sheets in the last time.
They are public record.
Yes, sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm not,
I mean,
I'm not big
I
on
don't
the
mean to
sheets.
interrupt, but, yeah, as you said, this is not like your landscape RFP where we
Right.
have a set procedure that we have to follow. As we've talked about before, we don't need to, not statutorily required to do a formal RFP process. We're we have to follow a process that has some integrity to it, of course, which we are. So this, all I'm really saying is a little bit flexible. It's up to you, the board, to decide how you'd like to proceed in that regard.
I mean, also before we start doing the sheets, I mean, I made some phone calls to the clubs. I'm sure that, I don't know if any of you called up any people. We should share what we, some outcomes of what we discovered before we even score anything.
So, I have a question for Andy. Andy, I did some preliminary work where I filled this out. Are you saying that piece of paper now that I have filled out is public record?
If you're going to discuss it, it will be.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
If you have just like anything else, if
Okay.
you have personal notes and they sit on the side of your table and you don't, speak from them or engage with the content, then they stay your personal notes. But the minute you start discussing it, it will become.
Okay, thank you. I just needed clarification on that.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Well, did you want to start with talking about references? How do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about references and go through them all and just some observations. I can give you what I've printed some up of what I got. Yes. Here's one, this is for you guys. Sorry, Ken, I don't have one for you.
One more, okay.
Yeah, okay, so I called up a couple Bobby Jones clubs, a couple of Hampton clubs.
Do you want to give me a minute to phone scan this, or I can just email it to Ken so he can follow along?
Sure.
Okay.
And then what you do, I know to give you this one to send to him. This.
Much fancier than me.
Here. You know what, my handwriting is so horrible these days, I couldn't even read it, so I did it too. And then also, let me give you some comments from Byron, who did an analysis looking at it from the financial perspectives and things of that nature, which I think is
Is that
very.
the email that we got?
Yes.
Yeah, I got
Did you all get?
Got it,
you-
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, okay,
Yeah, I have that.
okay. So, while she's scanning, basically, I got some good references from Hampton and good references from Bobby Jones. Then I got some okay references from Bobby Jones and okay references from Hampton. A lot of it comes down to the manager in a lot of respects. That's what they said. Both people were happy, all the people were happy with the decisions. The Bobby Jones, one of them was a privately held club that was basically looking to sell because they were losing so much money. They got trashed during COVID. They had their own general manager. They, self-run. Went to Bobby Jones. The turnaround was so dramatic. They're actually in the process of renegotiating the contract. So they like that. Hampton had some very good reviews as well. But the one thing that I found really intriguing about Hampton was I spoke to Tara, which is up in Bradenton.
But I talked to somebody else.
Could you use your mic?
Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
I spoke to Philip Tara, who is the president of the club, because I figured I wanted to go to the president, because I asked for the presidents of all the clubs. This way, I wasn't picking and choosing who I was choosing. I just made sure I spoke to the same type of person at each club. He was basically take it or leave it with Hampton. They like them, they thought they were good, but if they lost them and had to go back to self-management, he wouldn't be that upset. He said some of the financial turnarounds that they promised didn't actually materialize. And he has an actual, and being took, and I know proximity was an issue. And he said in terms of proximity, he hasn't seen Jamie in over 10 months. Which is obviously, so you haven't seen somebody in 10 months, that's bad. On the negative on the Bobby Jones side, which I had mentioned last time, one of the comments was that not everything was included in the contract, so you need to be very careful what you put into the contract. I guess that could be said for anybody, but he brought that up as an issue for them, that there were things that were not contracted for, that you got to make sure that you do contract. Also going back and forth between some things I found some very interesting information about the different clubs.
So before we go on, can I also talk to Tara, since we're leaving Tara?
Sure.
Let me just, because I talked to the assistant GM at Tara. They have a very different kind of contract, which I clarified first because I was really confused about what their contract with Hampton Golf was. Hampton Golf doesn't do any of their employee hiring or training. They are back office function for Tara.
Interesting.
The board has committees that actually do the hiring, the training is all conducted that way. It was eye-opening, which I wanted to bring it up because I was like, I'm so confused because I've been to Tara. I'm like, what do they exactly do for you? Well, they're just back office. They do our accounting, they do our media. They have helped them set up Jonas so that now they get real-time feedback through their tickets. Their tickets have a evaluate service thing, so it actually pops it right back. So, but they don't do their day-to-day employee management, and so I wanted to clarify.
No, that's great, because that was some of the issues that they had, and the back office thing, they said they got rid of all of the staff. Well, I said, well, if you hire them to do that, of course you're gonna get rid of all of the staff. Okay, but some things that I did find out. Okay, so Hampton does 32 clubs, Bobby Jones does 40. Out of the 32 clubs Hampton does, 22 are still developer run. They only do 10 clubs that are private owner, so they're not being subsidized, and then all new facilities, obviously, if it's still developer run. Bobby Jones has 0 developer clubs. I think that's a very important distinction between the two.
I don't think that's true.
Well, I think it is, because if you're going to be managing a club of this nature, having 40 clubs like this is more indicative than having 22 that are developer. Out of all of the clubs, Hampton only does 3 bundle clubs. 2 of them is still developer run, and the only one that's not is Tara.
My law partner represents their CDD. It's never been, it's just.
So I think, those are some big things. I mean, I can go back into the Hampton and Bobby Jones variations if you want me to, but if you want to go through references first, before I go to the rest of this, that's fine.
Well, we need to leave time for everybody.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, okay, you wanna go, Mike, hand, yeah, you good? Okay. So I dug into both companies, they're absolutely both fabulous without a doubt, and they both have pros and cons to them. I will tell you that from what I saw from Bobby Jones, now, while you mentioned that, you know, all of them are owner controlled, there are two, what I will refer to as first tee facilities, that are currently under development, one's in Georgia, one's actually down in Naples. And this is quite honestly what impressed me about Bobby Jones is the fact that there's big names associated with First Tee, and even though it really isn't a community per se where they're doing this stuff, you have names like Annika Sorensams, Tiger Woods, people who are invested in this First Tee, where Bobby Jones is now going to be their management company for their golf course and all their amenities and everything. So I found that very impressive. You know, looking at Hampton, I didn't find the 22-hour developer run. I found like maybe a dozen, but I think the count doesn't matter. The count doesn't matter. Hampton, okay, all right, then I didn't dig into some of these enough, but one of the things that struck me is above and beyond, again, for Bobby Jones, was the fact that they have a huge area of their management team is involved in capital development. And you could see that through the courses and everything that they've developed in the restaurants that they've refurbished and all that. So I think that's something that we need to think about as we look at redesigning La Sala and looking at, you know, the River Club in total and redesigning the locker rooms and everything. With their experience that they have in that project management sector, I think that is, I think that's, to me, is something that we should look for in a management company. But like I said, both of them, when I graded them, they came neck and neck, and those are just the comments that overall I wanted to make about them. I'll keep myself brief.
Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, since we're talking about references, I think I had pretty much the same thing that, I mean, obviously you're calling references, right? But one of the interesting things I picked up, and was a bit of a decider for me, at least between these two, was actually a Bobby Jones reference, said, you know, we looked at exactly the same two management companies. And he said, our issue was, our staff was not doing well at all. They had been really hammered on the ratings for staff. He said, you know, Bobby Jones is very good on that piece of it. He said, but actually Hampton is better. We felt Hampton was better on the process.
Okay.
You know, the SOPs, process compliance side. I mean, that said, they were Bobby Jones. They were Bobby Jones' clients. So that led me to think a little bit about the attribute sheet and what the attributes were, you know, that we need. Because we know we did do well. You know, I think that's one thing I wanted to make sure I said is that, you know, I think our staff here at the River Club, just setting aside any manager comments, I think the staff tries and does, you know, they work very hard. I think they have good rapport with the members, and I think we have to keep that in mind. So there was that piece. I think for me, in looking through the properties generally across the websites, I felt that, at least doing the fast tally, Hampton had clubs with a number of different amenities, like a marina and trails and, you know, some other different things, which I found sort of interesting that I took on as meaning they were able to tailor. And also a lot of the clubs looked to me to be older clubs, well-established clubs. So they would also have exposure to the, you know, the renovation projects. Anyway, that's sort of some of the general feedback I have. I mean, I agree with you. You know, the scoring for me was very tight, although my scoring came up more heavily for Hampton than it did for Bobby Jones. But you know, so did you want? Yeah, you got
Sure. So I will just talk about the stuff that I found different between the two to make it quicker. Because turnover, staff, that kind of thing is going to be very dependent upon where you are. Profitability, I think, is even going to be dependent because a lot of these places have minimums. And, you know, my favorite comment was talking to one person who said, oh yeah, we have minimums, but I take care of those in 2 months. And I said, oh, well, what's your minimum? She said, 1,500. And I said, you are not in a place like I am at. So I think profitability, there are so many variables there. I think both companies have great, buying power. They have great contracts. They have great ability to do financial analysis. Finance teams for both, I got glowing remarks. So I don't think any of that is a concern. One of the things I did see a difference in was I talked about creativity and the ability for clubs to maintain their own culture kind of thing and with menu changes and that kind of thing. What I found in the references I checked was that Bobby Jones seemed to be a little more turned towards set menus rather than custom menus. They like things kind of in an array. And the Hampton had more flexibility, changing menus frequently, doing based on member feedback on what they need on the menu. So that I thought was interesting. The other thing on Hampton that was different was several places, including Tara, said no email goes out without Justin's team scrubbing it for errors and effectiveness. They many glowing about the marketing team for Hampton. As far as one of the references I talked to for Bobby Jones said that they had a gap between the president and the local rep, and they had some problems with metrics in their contract, and there was not enough clarity. So they actually had about a 6 to 8 month problem at the beginning with trying to figure out what the metrics were, and it was a gap between their leadership, which I didn't even ask that specifically. He was just divulging information. Bobby Jones. And then with Hampton Group, Hampton Golf, one of the places I talked to said that they actually manage also all of their HOAs, and they do it fabulously. So there is a little more differentiation in Hampton Golf, I think, than in Bobby Jones as far as what they do and what kind of things they manage. Let me see if I have anything. That was it. Everything else, I've kind of been in the same place, but my scoring also, probably because of the things that I said, that from the times I spent on the references, Hampton Golf came up higher for me.
Okay. Do we address the elephant in the room?
Well,
How about
Ken-
Ken?
Ken-
Oh, yeah, sorry.
He's not the elephant.
No, he's not.
Wait a minute, yeah.
Sorry, Ken.
He's not in the room.
All right, thank you. I talked to several people. Some of the differences, even before that, between Hampton and Bobby Jones. Obviously, Hampton has a lot more properties, a lot more clubs in Florida than Bobby Jones. It's like 23-2. Hampton, 16 of their clubs use Jonas versus 4 in Bobby Jones. That's just an observation. I think they can all adapt to Jonas, and we've got a pretty good investment in Jonas, so I don't think we want to lose. One of the things I was impressed with Hampton is the financial benchmarking that they do that I think would be beneficial to us. Bobby Jones may do some of the same, but they didn't talk about it. I think accounting wise, in a lot of ways, they're probably similar. One of the things I talked to one of the board members at Laurel Oaks up in Sarasota, who have had Hampton Golf for 9 years now. They're in their third 3-year contract. Initially, when they brought them in, they were losing money, and within a year, they turned them into a profit. And then that profit even got bigger, to the extent that when they renewed their contract, they had a kind of a profit sharing percentage in their original contract, but they did away with it on the 2 contract renewals, and their annual increases were tied to the LIBOR or CPI rate. So because it was just getting the profit level was too significant that they didn't want to keep sharing it. She felt that they knew the Florida market extremely well. They managed several two large capital projects. The last was a $5 million dining room expansion that came in on time and on budget. Initially, they kept all the employees, but they eventually changed some out, including bringing in their own general manager, who they said they've got a great working relationship with, and they thought it was just fabulous. So they had nothing but praise for their performance. I wanted to find somebody different at Bobby Jones to talk to than just the references they gave us. So I contacted one of their Florida clubs because I wanted to see how they were performing in the Florida market. Interestingly enough, I called Indian River Preserve and dialed the general manager's office or extension from their menu. I got his voicemail, but I could not leave a message because his voicemail was full and could accept no more messages. So I wasn't thrilled with that. But then I said, well, maybe he's on vacation and he's just got a bunch of calls. So I said, let me try somebody else. The next in line was the food and beverage director. So I called back, went through the menu, and dialed the food and beverage director, and got their voicemail, and their voicemail was full, and couldn't take any more messages. So that was sort of 0 for 2 at that club, and that was all enough that I needed to hear. I looked at their dining and menu over there, and it's all casual and no fine dining. It was all handhelds and the like, so very limited.
Well, that's
As opposed to-
a private equity club. It's not their main, it's a very different type of club. It's underfunded. It's a private equity club.
Well, they only have 2 in Florida, and this was one of them.
No, I get that, Ken. I know, I understand, but that's not indicative of the normal thing. But I had a similar situation when I called up 3 properties for Hampton. You went straight to voicemail. 2 did not even give you the option to go to find the general manager.
Yeah, okay.
And then when you called up the general manager.
Rich, I'm doing my.
I'm sorry, Ken. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go.
Thank you. So when I also did some online research on employee turnover and ratings through the Indeed work site, which is the only one I could get. I actually did get Bobby Jones, Hampton Golf, and Vesta Property Services on all 3. For comments and ratings, Vesta actually turned out to be slightly higher than Hampton, who was slightly higher than Bobby Jones, but they were all within a very narrow band. I also, because I felt I should, called one of the Vesta references over on the West Coast in Delray Beach. They have been with Vesta for almost inception, back into the 1990s, which I had to ask them, how has it been going? So this is they have recreation area, golf courses, and full amenities. They have 100 employees. It's a very large number of like 7,700 doors. They've got 100 Vesta employees there. They think they have very little turnover. They think they're very good to work for, very good to their help. Got nothing but positive comments, and I'm at a loss as to how our experience with Vesta seems so different from theirs. We really couldn't pinpoint it, but they've been very successful using Vesta. So when I did my ratings, I came up like Cheryl, I guess. I came up, highest was Hampton, and Bobby Jones was actually 3rd in my ratings. So I found nothing but positive on the Hampton Golf Property.
And board, I just want to remind everyone about the email I sent, which is that whomever you choose, to the extent that you do any sort of incentive or revenue
Yes.
type sharing, could be a potential problem from
Right,
a
right.
tax issue. So.
So, I don't want to interrupt you, Ken, did you have something else, at least immediately?
No,
Okay,
no, I'm good.
so I'm gonna, I have a couple things I want to say about Vesta, because at least I'm the liaison. I'm extremely frustrated with Vesta. I feel that after 4.5 years, it's still a struggle. I have very serious financial concerns with Vesta because we're now looking at a second year where we're going to have a 6-digit loss that we have to make up for out of our pockets. Thirdly, I think I used to work for one of the CFOs I worked for. It's a Swiss guy who's used to say horses for courses, and I feel that, meaning that sometimes you have a horses that run dirt tracks and horses that run other types of tracks, and I feel that we're at a point in our history where we need a change. But in addition, coming back to my frustrations, for me, the watershed was the liquor license violation. We never got, I'm sorry to be so blunt here, but it's the only place I can be with the other supervisors. We had a fundamental disagreement between myself and senior management at Vesta whether we should self-report, which I did not appreciate. Vesta never came and apologized for violating our liquor license, and they never came and told us what they were going to do to ensure that it didn't happen again. And if it had gone down another way than it did after we did self-report, it could have gone down badly. So together with the financial issues and what I perceive now as lack of controls, I have a very serious problem with maintaining Vesta. So I'm actually going to make a motion that we end our relationship with Vesta.
I second that.
I was just gonna say, I second that. So when I took a look at Vesta's contract and I took a look at some of the information that they had on site and everything, one of the things that they said in their proposal to us was they would have an SOP in place. Well, that SOP should have been in place 4 years ago. And financial oversight should have also been a priority for them. We hear it all the time. We talk about how when we make recommendations, it's operational. If it's operational, then we should be getting feedback on those financial statements, and they should have the same type of care and want to care and want to reduce our amount of subsidy as the 5 of us do. And I haven't seen that motivation, unfortunately, from Vesta, so I am making that second. He already
Yeah,
said
second.
that's fine. If you
No,
want to put some in.
No,
Okay.
I think people know my
I just,
yeah, people know my perspective.
okay.
Reach a discussion.
Yes.
I just want to say that I have spent a lot of time kind of on the fence here because I'm struggling with not letting Vesta run out their term, which would be till December, to see what the new GM can do, to see kind of how things go. But on the same token, I am frustrated by the lack of financial controls. I'm also very frustrated by the fact that even while I was on finance committee, we've never been able to get a good financial analysis from Vesta, and that I find disheartening. And so when you're doing these reference checks and everybody just raves about the one thing you don't have to worry about is the financial analysis. And things like, specifically with Hampton Golf, I got a lot of comments about they've made Jonas work so much better, that it's now a real-time system. And
and the flow of data from Jonas to their accounting system is seamless. Now, I heard that not just once, I heard that a number of times. So from that perspective, I like I said, this is hard for me because especially since the community, I mean, if you're looking at this from the board perspective is one thing. When you're looking at it from the community perspective, I think that's where I struggle the most because the community seems happier now with how things are going than ever. So it's kind of like, but I am in all of this thinking and waking up in the middle of the night and all of that, I am to the point where I think the underlying control issues are bigger for me, and that's our job as the board. And I'm hoping that we don't see a decline in the member satisfaction with a switch, because I think that's very important as well. So I just needed to say that out loud.
I think that the member satisfaction is where it is despite ourselves. I think a lot of that is as a result of Chef.
Yes.
Yes.
But the community doesn't see the things that we see. They don't see, they're not digging into the financials. They're not looking at the losses or the lack of controls or the issues that we've had or the amount of work that all of us are putting in to supplement the work that's to be done. If it wasn't for us and the boards before, whatever, doing a lot of this work, I think things would be a lot worse. So I understand the concern about letting them run out the contract, but the perfect time to start the new contract would be with the new fiscal year. Give the new management October, November to start getting up to speed. So when people start coming back for Christmas, things are under control, systems are in place, people have been retrained. If somebody decides to leave, they have a chance to rehire. But hopefully everybody stays. I don't think that neither management company said they're getting rid of anybody to start.
Right.
So all the employees stay if they so choose. So there should not be that disruption. So we get a couple of months running with the new management, and let the new management start with the fiscal year. So at the end of the year, we can come back and say, this is what you've done for the year, even though there's still that ramping up window, it's still their full window, as opposed to coming in into January 1st and then ramping up in season. I mean, to start having a new management company come in January 1st and then have issues January, February, that could be devastating to our financials. Because if the transition is not as smooth as we hope, regardless of who we go with, or if we lose some key people because they decide not to stay, that could be very, very, very significant.
So we're ready to call it.
So actually, one more point of discussion. Oh, you didn't say when in your motion.
Did I?
You mean give notice today? I just think you have to be clear in your motion about
You're
what
right.
you're
I'm gonna make
asking.
a motion that,
60 days.
yes, trigger the 60-day notice as of today or tomorrow, whenever you get the letter out.
Don't know about today.
Come on, Andy. Well, anyway, no, whenever. So, yes. Thank you.
Does
for
Ken
that.
want to
Yeah,
add
Ken.
anything?
Yep, Ken?
Yeah, I would. I find Vesta to be quite an enigma. They do some things very well, and I think that's why residents feel better about the events that have been run, certainly the quality of food and beverage. There's a lot of things that are very positive. And I agree with Cheryl. I get frustrated over some of the lack of controls, the reactive nature as opposed to proactive on a number of things. I talked to some of their other clients, and they talk about SOPs and training and employees and low turnover. And we just haven't seen that. And as much as I think kind of with Cheryl that some things are turning around for the better, we've not had any consistent of management. I think what my biggest frustration is they do some things very well, but at the same time, the one thing that's kind of been missing is that financial management, where I had found that department heads never even knew they had a budget, weren't given copies of financial reports. If I wanted reports, even reports that they said they would send me on a regular basis, I would have to call and remind them I haven't gotten covers and whatever in weeks, and have to prod them to send me reports, which is kind of frustrating because I've supported them. I feel they've done a good job in a number of areas, but I think we've gotten to a point where the gap of trust between us and them has gotten so wide that I don't think it's repairable. So, for those reasons, I feel maybe it is time for a change, and we certainly have to get our financial management under better control.
Should we call it?
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a motion by Jill to end the relationship with Vesta with district council triggering the 60-day notice once he gets back to the office tomorrow.
I do have another meeting at 4:30.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll make that.
All right, so there was a motion by Jill, second by Rich. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
So, I got that. Thank you.
Just a comment that Ken had made about benchmarking. Bobby Jones actually did benchmarking in that proposal where, against the other clubs, where Hampton did not. Bobby Jones looked at our website and gave critiques about what it is. Hampton did not. I just felt that there was a much greater review of us by Bobby Jones than was by Hampton. Also, you have to remember Bobby Jones's proposal was 3 months ago. Hampton had 3 months since then to look at this and add or change, or as we've discussed things going on. I did not provide Hampton the budget, so I didn't know we were going to do that, so they did.
You did? Okay.
So, yeah, when I had sent stuff to Hampton, to Jones, you asked me, what's that? I need to see everything that you sent them. I did not know what Hampton got sent, so.
Well, it was just a link.
Okay.
I mean, to any,
So,
it
okay.
was just a public
Okay, all right,
document.
okay. But Jones's proposals was from months ago, so we didn't.
I mean, do
Well,
we?
somebody has to make a proposal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. Do we just,
We need to make a motion.
You would need to make a motion to
Right.
decide which company you'd like to engage for amenity management services.
Correct.
Effective like October 1st then? Do we have to put a date on this?
Subject to
Well-
preparation of a
Then
contract.
so should I make a proposal and then we go to discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
So I
And
would
then
make a
second.
proposal that we select Hampton Golf to represent us to be our amenities manager effective October 1st.
Well, no, if you're gonna give 60 days notice now, they have to start sooner. They've got to start with the third, you need transition between the two. So you need to bring them in probably September 1 or August 15th
Well, it's
for
in,
transition.
Want them to overlap?
Yeah.
Yeah. You need an overlap.
well, make your motion,
Okay, I'm
get it
making a
second, and
motion.
let's
Yeah.
discuss. Oh, that was the motion, I'll
So yours
second
was
it.
effective October 1. That was the motion.
That's the motion.
Well, first
Okay,
off,
and now we go to discussion.
regardless
Right,
of
I'm
who we.
gonna second
okay,
it, that way we can discuss.
Regardless of who we go with, I think we need to have, if it's 60 days notice, it's gonna be September 15th or 18th or whatever.
No.
No.
What's
So
the
Today's the 20th.
Okay.
State comes out tomorrow, the
So,
29th.
we really,
And it's from, I was just looking, by the way, it's from their receipt, so you gotta put a few more.
so they're gonna get August 1, so I would say September 1 should be the new company coming in, because you won't have a 30-day overlap, because they're gonna have to start,
What
they need-
exactly?
they need to learn the systems, they need to onboard the employees for medical and all those other things, so, if if Vesta leaves on a Friday, Hampton or Jones can't start on Monday because they're not gonna have employees.
So,
They're gonna need to have time to work with those employees, to see who's gonna stay, to fill out the paperwork and forms for employment and medical at the very least.
there's banking stuff
And
that
banking,
has to
yeah.
transition. I mean, when I talked to Hampton, and then I went to Andy and asked the question, does the new management company, have the ability to come in, and start doing transition, and the answer is yes. And that was actually a discussion I had when I was speaking just myself to Hampton and said, can you do it in 60 days? And they said, yes, they can. They just need to be able to transition, and they need cooperation from the outgoing management company.
So
But
from
yes,
whatever-
But does that mean their
Whatever
contract
management
starts?
company you select supervisors, the clock starts ticking once you sign the contract. So they start with their transition plan, meaning that's when they start hiring employees, that's when they put together an entire plan, so that you know what the transition plan is gonna be.
Right.
But it doesn't start at the point where they are on site. They start right away with a transition
T+1
process.
basically,
Okay.
the next step.
Okay, and when is the effective date of their contract then?
Well,
T+1?
depends on,
Depends on what you structure.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go, we have to spend time negotiating a contract too.
Yeah, so there really
It may
is.
be October 1st, they may say, we're not willing to touch anything unless our contract is effective September 1st. I don't know.
So may I amend my motion to say that I would move that we select Hampton Golf as our successor amenities management club with a start date to be negotiated and by Jill. I mean, you've been dealing with them, so.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yes,
Okay.
and subject to preparation of
And
our
subject to
contract by
preparation of the-
council.
all the legal stuff?
So you were the second. You second the amended motion?
no,
No,
it
it
was
wasn't
it was
I'm
Jill.
sorry.
Jill did.
Sorry, it was Jill.
Yes.
Was second on the last one. Okay. All right, so that's our new motion. Is there any further discussion on that?
I just think Jones is the better choice on the financial side. I think they spent more time reviewing our, like I said, reviewing our information. I had some bad experiences making some phone calls to the Hampton clubs. I called 3 of them. The voicemail systems got me to know general managers. And then it said, if you need that, press start, hit start, got disconnected over 3 clubs. It said that option's not available, disconnected. When I finally got to a voicemail system, some of the managers, general managers, not even say, this is the general manager, so leave a message, the generic leave a message, not even my person kind of thing. So that was not, so Ken may have had some bad experience. I didn't have great ones in that entree with Hampton. I think that Jones is the fact that they handle 40 clubs that are not developer run. They are all private clubs, which is basically technically what we are versus developer clubs, which are subsidized. We all have heard the stories about how WCI things were great 20 years ago with 995 prime rib night and all those other things. And we did not know how bad our finances were until we took over from them because everything was being subsidized. That's what's going on right now. That's potentially what's happening in Hampton clubs. Laurel Oak with $110,000 initiation fee is not representative to us in any way, shape, or form. It's hard to cross-reference that as a comparison. So my bad experience was terrible. But what Cheryl said, that perfectly explains everything. So I'm going to disregard everything he said in that respect. The people, like I said, at Bobby Jones, the things that I got, one person said the best person at Bobby Jones is the CFO.
I got the same comment.
Yeah, so
I
I
got the
think.
same comment about Hampton Golf.
Okay.
So I know, that's why I'm like, okay.
So can I add a little bit about,
Please.
because I have, I'm favoring Bobby Jones as well. I think you know, why both companies are fabulous. I think they're three pillars of success, what they build on, their culture, their leadership, and everything else that they have to go along with that, with their service. They look for people to fit, and they can see that vision. And I have to tell you, I really like the idea of First Tee being able to say, I want to go with Bobby Jones. And like I said, I know that's golf course driven and everything, but that says so much for such people that are in the limelight, like a Tiger Woods and an Annika Sorenstam, that I think that's really important. There was also one club that actually re-signed their contract with Bobby Jones because they are so happy with it. It was Cobblestone in Georgia. Now granted, they're golf only, but they're renewing from till 2034. That's, you know, 9 years, and that's pretty impressive in my book. So I'm favoring Bobby Jones as well.
I guess all I'd add to that, because I understand exactly what you're saying. I spent, last week, I think it was, I spent almost 2 hours on the phone with Doug Hillman, just talking about everything from A to Z. And I mentioned to you on, you know, Glassdoor, I created an account as a potential employee just to see how companies were rated, and they were rated very highly. So, I mean, I have no doubt. My view on going with Hampton is my sense from talking to references and looking at things on websites and calling people, because I had similar experiences on both sides. I think what we need right now is, you know, the structure with the financials and SOP and compliance. I think that, for me anyway, Hampton has a little bit of an edge with that, and that's where I think we are right now in terms of our needs. So you know, I don't want you to think that I have any kind of a lesser opinion about it. I don't.
And I don't have any lesser opinion of Hampton. I think both of them are impressive. There's just, you know, there's just things that
And I
people
agree,
feel.
those three things that you just mentioned, I agree with those.
Horses.
I just think Jones has those as a.
I get it.
So it's,
I get it.
So, and I think it depends on, you know, I've had worse experience with Bobby Jones references. I had a hard time getting hold of people. I really struggled, and I finally got one. And he was like, yeah, they're good, but he had a lot of buts that he kept, you know. And in any case, you're right. I think they both are good companies. It's just a matter, for me, it came down to the number of clubs in Florida, the fact that they have bundled clubs, which does, I believe, make a difference, and the fact that I think they're more flexible as far as how they manage. I think Bobby Jones has more of a recipe because they're all golf clubs. And I think Hampton Golf does not do all golf clubs. In fact, they do 12 HOAs at minimum. They do a lot of other things that I think creates flexibility, that I think this club, to a degree, needs a recipe, because we need to stop flip-flopping, but we also need the flexibility to do things the way this community wants to see them done. That's why I was leaning toward Hampton Golf.
Ken?
Similar comments, as I said before. What troubled me initially about Bobby Jones was their contract terms. I know they backed off on some of that, but you know, they wanted a multi-year contract with no ability to cancel right away. I think their payment scheme, I wasn't crazy about. The 15% incentive fee, where they get part of the incentive even if they have a budget miss, just a lower incentive, puts them, you know, equivalents not higher to Hampton.
Well, they changed that.
They have no, I know, but it was only because they had to. They have no CDDs in their portfolio, whereas Hampton does. Hampton knows the Florida market much better than Bobby Jones does. So, just, again, I think they both have good financial management. I like what Hampton talked about how they were data-driven, in their financial management. They have a forecast model. They have a point-of-sale system where they have a daily close.
Yeah.
Just a number of controls that seem to be in place, and that's one of the things I think we need most of all right now. And then when I went through the rating system, they came out, and at least in my opinion, I know a lot of these categories were subjective, significantly higher than Bobby Jones.
So we ready to call it?
Yes, sir.
Are we ready? Okay, all those in favor, please state aye.
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 Any opposed?
I
Aye.
I want this. Oh, you opposed?
I oppose.
Oh, you opposed? I mean, I want this for the community's sake. I mean, I'm against it. I mean, I think Jones is better, but for the community, I think to have a stronger vote.
So was your vote in
I'm
favor?
voting in favor.
Okay, so motion carries 4 in favor.
Thank you.
Change. I just think for the community, I mean, I disagree, but.
No, I do agree with you. I think for the community, we should, yes.
I appreciate
So change my vote to a yay.
I mean, we lost anyway, so at this point. I mean, I think the community should see strength.
I agree 100%.
This morning. Should we all start singing around the campfire now?
All right, so it's 5-0.
Yeah, let's call it 5-0.
Okay. So
I think
I'll work
both,
with you, Jill.
both companies are gonna be great. I think this is the right thing
I
to
guess I
do
could call down.
for the community and, yeah. So, thank you. I think we all did our due diligence. Nobody can question the work that we put into this.
Yeah, and I think just one final thing on it when it comes to the contract. I think all of us will want to make sure we have, a strong set of metrics in there. So what'll happen is we'll do the first pass and then it will be circulated, right? So everybody sees it, and then do we have to wait until the next? No, we don't have to wait until the next meeting to vote on it. It would just be, okay.
Do you have contracts with other amenities managers?
Not like this. Not the past food and beverage, things along those lines. Yeah.
Belinda, do you have any?
I don't. I don't know if there's one that I'm aware of, but I think it's not the same restaurant operation.
Well, I'm just saying, just so we can get a sense of what a contract should look like or get some better ideas. So rather than trying to recreate the wheel, if we could steal some ideas here and there, piecemeal it, save some time and energy. So even if it's not necessarily an F&B one, if it's operational, we could still have an 80% there and then modify it 20% for the add F&B.
There's a million amenities management
I
contracts
can
that we have districts. And I have
Just so we can start.
have some
someplace.
other ideas.
Okay.
And they may have something that they want to present to begin with too. They might be able to browse some visions from there.
okay. I'll give them a call.
And then blend them all together.
All right, so we're gonna move into item number 6F, which is the consideration of the tennis court maintenance proposal. This is behind tab number 7 for your review.
Yes, so that conversation, some of that took place during the workshop, and what we agreed to was the work absolutely needs to be done. We are going to go with option 2, which means that we will take care of all the courts, regrade the courts, and do the lines, with a not to exceeds of $30,000, with $18,000 hitting expense and then $12,000 hitting the reserves because of the lines being a reserve item. So that, my motion is to
To begin the work.
October 1.
to begin the work in the new fiscal year, October 1, after October 1, yes.
I'll second.
Thank you, thank you.
we need a contract for this? Or vendor
We
contract?
will, yes, yes. And I
Subject
will,
to preparation.
subject to
So you'll
preparation
get
of
with
the
me on the
contract,
proposal, or
yes.
whatever the backup is we'll need for that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Got it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Ken?
Aye. Aye.
I had one.
Can't take it off mute.
Do you want to iterate the pool gate times just so we're on the record?
Sure, sure.
Oh,
So
wait, are we just, can we say in G, are we,
Oh,
sorry, G is the
yeah, you're right,
highlighted.
G, I just want my.
I thought we were just deferring that though, because none of us like the proposal.
Yeah,
So
we're
going
gonna, are we deferring G or are we?
The art to street.
Are we just
Art
gonna
to street,
take,
oh.
or do we just take it away? We're not gonna discuss it at the next meeting.
I need to find, we need to find some different quotes, but I need to talk to him one, and then we may need to find other options for that.
So can we just
Delete it.
delete it and then when
There's
we're
no-
ready, we'll,
no
that way
action.
Belinda
No
doesn't.
action
No
today.
action.
No
No
actions,
no
if I find other quotes, I'll get it on the, well, you know what, just put it on for the next agenda meeting. If I have quotes, we talk about it. If I don't, I mean,
It's not a guess or tabling.
just leave it,
So it gets deferred, but it gets deferred as consideration of monument proposal
yes.
rather than.
So let's back up.
No.
So we're going to take no action on the proposal before you, but Rich is requesting that we add an agenda item for discussion of monument painting.
Painting, yeah, and bids,
Okay,
if I have them
okay,
in time.
got it. Thank you.
There's Miguel, could be busy.
Yeah, he's always busy.
So
So,
now we're gonna move
Keep
into
the
the
rules,
discussion and
minutes.
review regarding pool gate times.
yes, we talked about that during the workshop as well. What we decided that was we will close and lock the 3 pool gates to the general public at 9 PM in the evening and reopen them at 7:25 AM in the morning. And then with the agreement that the privacy managers will then lock the pro shop at 11 PM at night, open it up again at 5 AM in the morning. That way, that'll give the residents access into the fitness center, the aerobics room, and the locker rooms.
You
So
said 5 in the morning?
5 in the morning
Okay.
for the privacy managers opening up the tennis
But we're
courts.
still keeping the pool hours per the administrative code, half hour before dusk, dawn, and all that good stuff.
Correct,
Okay,
correct, yes, that'll all still,
because we don't have pool.
Are the pool hours in the rules? I don't have my iPad.
I don't
If
know.
they are,
I think
The-
pool
do we
hours-
need, we don't need to have a hearing to fix those.
The pool hours at dusk and dawn, it's Board of, that's Board of
That's
Florida
fine.
administrative
It's posted on the
code,
signage.
right, it's half hour.
I understand, but I mean, in the
After
rules
dusk,
document
or
that's
half
on the
hour before dusk, half
website.
hour.
they
it is,
give
it is in the
It is.
rules and regulations,
So we'll-
100% is
And
in
we
there.
can change those hours without a hearing.
You can,
Okay,
yes.
So that's what was discussed.
I'll take care of
during-
that.
Okay, thank you. That's what was discussed during the workshop. And that'll give the pool, Dave, the pool guy, plenty of time to be able to maintain the pool so people aren't jumping in it and it's not been
Yeah,
completely
especially
treated.
if he's gotta
Yeah.
fix something, it takes a little longer to do something, it
Correct.
gets a little bit of time.
Correct, yeah, so 9 PM closure, 7:25. Admin will still have access, as will the privacy managers to be able to walk around the pool if they need to.
Cool.
Okay,
So we now have item number 7A, which is the ratification of the operations and maintenance expenditures for the month of June 2025. These are behind tab number 9 for your review.
I didn't see
If there are no questions, we'll be looking for a motion to ratify.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Cheryl. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
We now have consent items for your acceptance. We do have 2 sets of minutes. The first one is for racket sports for the meeting on June 9th and social and dining for the meeting of May 14th. Any questions? If there are no questions, we'd be looking for a motion to accept.
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please state aye.
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 Advisory committee liaison reports, are there any reports?
I just have one thing. Go ahead, Ken.
I was just gonna say for the record, I mentioned this in the workshop, but for the record, the strategic planning committee, work group rather, concluded its final draft, and that will go out to the board before the next meeting.
Just not necessarily a liaison role, but something you had asked me to look at. Conversations with Neil regarding the financial rate.
Oh, yeah.
So finally, after all the noise and everything, he finally got back to us. This man is irate, and he will not even talk to us. He got him. He was. So the feeling between the CA and POA. Let him calm down, because even if we go to the county, he still may. He wants to get his road done so he can get out of here. If we start going to he's not. So if we go to the county and try to do anything, he's going to be working against us. So the feeling is, let him go ahead, pave the road, do what we want. That's going to happen long before the shopping center gets built.
Yeah.
So when the shopping center starts to get built, and it probably will be Publix or whatever, we can then go to them and try to work with them about a joint effort to the county about the entrance, because it's going to affect both of us. So rather than trying to fight with him now, let him be gone, get the road finished, and then work with the county later down the road. And that's what we all felt was the best.
Does he still own the property, or has he sold it? I
Nobody-
can't seem to get an answer.
Nobody knows for sure. I've heard he's sold it, but that could also be he's got a deal set, but it's not done because of so many. I think until everything was resolved legally, maybe there was a clause in there until all legal, and maybe it gets turned over once the road is done. Who knows what the contract could look like? We'll never know. But this way, if we can. Let's say there's Publix, and Publix buys up land, we go to Publix and say, look, it's as much as a danger for you and your customers as it is for us and our residents. If we work together to come up with some reasonable proposal to the county, maybe we can get something done before damage happens, before an injury happens.
Good plan, because I think Plan A was a non-starter.
They had to try it because it didn't cost anything, and you had to try.
Right.
So it was worth a shot, because you take them if it doesn't, you don't have nothing to lose. So now the best scenario now is just waiting and let the road go in, and what happens is gonna happen, and hopefully we can then.
So I guess for purposes of the formal minutes, the tear out of the lower road buffer starts today. The city has no desire to come and look at the area anymore, as long as we call in, get it all flagged for where the lines are, so they're now very comfortable, so that's going forward. I did sign the agreement, the contract not to exceed 15,000 to do Siltadella and get that torn out, what we want to have torn out, and get pitch apples planted. And we are in progress for Magistrate Court North to get that cul-de-sac fixed.
Oh, you already talked about it.
Just for the minutes, since we did it.
Yeah, that's great.
Any other liaison reports? Supervisor requests or
Hello?
comments? Are there any
Oh, yeah, Ken,
supervisor-
what did you say, Ken?
Yeah, I wanted to back to discussion of the finance committee and agenda. Any change in direction, given the change in management companies, that you want me to pursue or not pursue?
From my perspective, Ken, I still would love the finance committee to do a projection, because we still need to know where we're gonna end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about attorney and audit, since that kind of came back to the board.
Well, you may not need, I mean, if you have information, and you're already meeting, I would say, please forward it. But I have a pretty good idea that the attorney I've already spoken with will be able to handle the matter per the board's direction. And he already mentioned to me 3 different forensic accounting firms that his firm, which is quite large, works with. So Speaking only personally.
I'll give you a call, offline then.
Okay, yeah, so I,
There's nothing to be done.
right, so I'm just saying, speaking only personally, if you have information, I'll take it. But if you don't, I don't think you need to go through take any large leaps. Right,
Okay, no, I just want to advise the committee.
thank you.
Supervisory requests or comments? Are there any supervisory requests or comments?
I think we covered them.
All right, so it is 1:12 PM. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
Second.
All those in favor, please state aye.
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 Thank you. Meeting adjourned
Thank you,
at
everybody.
1:12 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Jill, this was great. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad it worked out. I'm really happy you did. Cool beans. All right, stay cool.